Hello everyone, welcome to What If Villain Deku Goes to Infiltrate the UA and Fell in Love with Momo Part 1. Before we start, please go support ancalagonintheblack for writing that awesome fanfic. Now let's begin. This is the translated version I made. There will be some wrong he or she calling here because it's translated, so let me clear this. Deku is a male in this story. Chapter 1. In a world where people have powers all around the world, causing them to call those powers quirks, although it only affected 80% of the world's population, while the other 20% had no powers, so they were called quirkless, although because of the quirks villains began to appear all over the world, so they were stopped by the heroes who were beginning to exist and stopped being just a fantasy. At this moment there was a boy in a hospital with his mother Izuku Midoriya. The two stayed until they saw the doctor enter the place to sit down. Izuku. What's my quirk? Is it a very strong quirk? What is it like? Inko. Calm down Izuku, let the man talk at least a little. Doctor. Don't worry, it's something normal in children today, but the most important thing is that this child wants to know his quirk. You see, your quirk allows you to make a kind of dark matter with which you can do more than anything else, like recovering a body part that you have lost or creating claws, among other things. Izuku. Great. Inko. Thank you very much, if you let us we will go. The two green-haired boys left the place, although Izuku was noticeably excited by the news he ended up receiving. When they got home, the boy just enjoyed the moment, starting to watch videos about All Might. Inko. Come eat Izuku. The boy went with his mother to start eating, animatedly being noticed by his mother. Izuku. I'll be someone like All Might. Inko. Yes, you will be. Once he finished eating, the boy ended up helping his mother clean the dishes, although they heard noise outside, so they looked out the window, and it was the heroes fighting the villains, but among those people was Izuku's idol, the great symbol of peace, All Might. Izuku. Look mom, it's All Might. Inko. Yes, I see it. They saw how in one of All Might's attacks that ended up giving the villain, he sent him flying, causing him to end up crashing into Izuku's house, and out of pity the villain ended up crashing into the part of the gas, causing an explosion in the house. Out of pity Inko had anticipated this, so she protected her son using her body, causing her to receive all the damage. Izuku. Mom, are you okay? Inko. Just be a great hero Izuku. The woman finished with those words to die in the arms of her son, who was beginning to cry. Moments before, outside Izuku's house, there was a man walking in an elegant suit, although the most important thing was that he had no body, since it was 100% mist, but he saw All Might fighting, until he noticed how the number one hero sent the villain towards a house without caring, causing it to explode and All Might to leave the place without caring about the people inside. Man. This is bad. The man left the place to appear inside the house, seeing everything inside, but found the child who was unconscious with his mother's body, so he took the pulse of the two, seeing that the woman was dead, so he took two things from the house and left apparating in a building that gave him a direct view of the house. Man. I certainly didn't expect that from All Might, but more importantly, what am I going to do with this little one? I look at little Izuku, thinking for a while until he made a decision, so he disappeared again from the place to reappear inside a bar, leaving little Izuku lying to the side waiting for him to wake up. The next day the little boy began to wake up until he did completely to see that he was in a bar. Izuku. Where am I? Man. You're in my bar. Izuku looked at that man who was cleaning a part of the bar with a rag. Izuku. What am I doing here? Man. I saw how All Might sent that villain towards your house, causing it to explode, so I chose to help you by saving your life. Izuku. I'm Izuku Midoriya. Man. Nice to meet you, I'm Kurogiri. Hey little one, you know that guy All Might noticed that you were inside the house with your mother, but he didn't care. Izuku. Seriously? That can't be true. Kurogiri. Unfortunately it is, and there is not much to do about it. The little boy would begin to shed a few tears for what he had heard. At this, Kurogiri only began to feel bad for what that boy did to him, so he took some things out of his pockets. Kurogiri. You know what, kid, I took some things from the house before I left just in case you cared. The little boy saw how he took out a photo of him with his mother and a bracelet that belonged to his mother, making him take the things with a noticeable sadness, making Kurogiri begin to feel worse than before, but he couldn't continue since someone came through the door, being Tamura, who didn't seem so happy, and more so when he saw that there was a child in the place. Tamura. Hey Kurogiri, what is that kid supposed to be doing here? Kurogiri. Well, I only let him come because I saw how All Might was going to let him die in an explosion. Tamura. Yes, everything is very good, very nice, but there is a small detail, and that small and insignificant detail is that we are not a nursery. Kurogiri. Calm down, this kid won't affect us at all. Tamura. Not in exchange for revealing our location, and that's something I don't plan on letting slide. The villain launched himself towards the little boy, about to touch him, but a portal appeared in front of the boy, not allowing him to be touched, and Tamura ended up touching a wall that ended up breaking. Tamura. What are you doing, Kurogiri? Kurogiri. Don't you dare go that far, Tamura. It's one thing to kill men, women, but small children is too much, don't you think? Besides, it could be of help. What's your quirk, Izuku? Izuku. My quirk is dark matter. Tamura. And what does he do? Izuku. It allows me to reconstruct parts of my body or even do other things like this. He showed his hand that changed to form a kind of giant hand with claws made of darkness and wings that began to help the child fly. Tamura. That's a good thing, a very good quirk, but I don't care, that kid can be a danger. Kurogiri. You better stay calm, Tamura, we didn't even talk to the teacher. Tamura. I know he would make the same decision. All for one. Don't believe it so much. They saw the image of a man appear on TV. All for one. That kid looks like someone pretty good for the future. Kurogiri, I want you to bring him to me. Kurogiri. As you wish, sir. Come, Izuku. The boy approached him to take Kurogiri's hand, who disappeared from the place to reappear in front of All for One, making Izuku feel some fear hiding behind Kurogiri. All for one. You have nothing to fear, little one, I want to give you something. The boy looked at him and began to emerge from his hiding place to walk towards All for One. All for one. Tell me, little one, what kind of quirk do you like? Izuku. To be honest, I always liked fire, heroes that generate fire look incredible. All for one. Then I would like you to take my hand. The boy obeyed, taking All for One's hand, who was beginning to concentrate, revealing a kind of glow in his hand that passed to Izuku's hand until he ended up causing the boy to faint so that he could be taken by Kurogiri, who did not let him touch the floor. Kurogiri. Mr. All for One, are you perhaps? All for one. I just gave him a new quirk. A person with two quirks will be much better than that dark matter quirk alone, but hey, you can take it now. Kurogiri. Okay, Mr. All for One. The villain left the place to appear in a room where he left the little green-haired boy lying down so that he could take a photo frame and put the photo of the green-haired boy with his mother and to one side the bracelet that once belonged to his mother so that he could leave the place towards the bar where he would meet Tamura. Tamura. What happened? Kurogiri. Now the master gave him one more quirk, the boy has two quirks now. Tamura. How did sensei allow this? Kurogiri. Don't complain, it could be a good thing in the future. Tamura had no choice but to relax, accepting reality and starting to walk towards the door of the place to leave the bar, while Kurogiri was only cleaning part of the bar. Chapter 2. After the little green-haired boy discovered his quirk apart from having been rescued by Kurogiri ending up in the League of Villains, so that he ended up meeting All for One, who gave the boy a new quirk. At this moment the little green-haired boy was waking up to see how he was in a room and on a nightstand his things, so he only took his things to start walking out of the place, and that in one way or another, he would manage to find the bar seeing Kurogiri, so he walked towards him to take a seat, but saw how the villain of the portals passed him a kind of drink for children. Kurogiri. Take the opportunity to have some, Izuku. Izuku. What happened to me yesterday? The last thing I remember was someone named All for One giving me some kind of light. Kurogiri. He gave you a new quirk, now you are stronger than before. Izuku. But that means I'll start being trained, or I'm wrong. Kurogiri. You're not wrong, you're going to be trained with your two quirks. The boy looked at the drink he had until he brought out some fire, causing him to be a little surprised until it changed to great happiness. Izuku. When does my training start? Kurogiri. In a few days you will begin to be trained, it is important that you become stronger, Izuku. The boy nodded, making Kurogiri smile even though it wasn't noticeable, but Tamura entered the place. Tamura. So the dwarf is going to be trained. Kurogiri. That's right, he'll be someone unique, I told you, Tamura. Tamura. Just because sensei gave him an extra quirk doesn't make him special, although we'll have to do something about his feelings. Kurogiri. Calm down, let's not go that far. Tamura. I just hope that child isn't speaking your heart. The villain left the place, the days began to pass in which they were finally going to let Izuku be trained. Kurogiri. Okay Izuku, you're going to start being trained in different types of things, hand-to-hand combat, use of your fire quirk, use of your dark matter quirk, use of bladed and fire weapons. Izuku. Yes, Kurogiri. The boy would begin to be trained by the villain, making him learn a lot of things, since he was able to learn how to use his fire quirk to a great capacity, even greater than Davi's. His fire became greater in every way. Another thing he could learn to use was his dark matter, which had great capabilities, being able to form things like claws, wings, the kind of sword, among other things, but depending on the amount of darkness he got to use all his darkness, he could or could not lose control. He came to learn about hand-to-hand fights and with weapons being the katana his greatest white weapon that he used best and of the firearms would be the pistols making him have great progress, but another thing that happened in that time was learning how bad the heroes look. Izuku was walking with Kurogiri and Tamura through some hallways. Izuku. What are we doing here? Tamura. Well, to make sure that your feelings for the heroes and all that don't interfere, we thought about getting them out of you in a not so good way, but at least you'll be more on our side. Izuku. They gave me a place to live, a new quirk and, on top of that, great training and you think I'm not on your side. Tamura. It's just because of trust. Izuku. Well, the truth is that I'm not on your side but on all for once. Tamura. Damn brat. They opened a door where he entered to be seated on a chair where metal straps held Izuku's arms, feet and chest, as well as his head, while some devices were in charge of keeping his eyes open, so that images began to pass that caused a green-haired man to begin to scream from the pain he was beginning to feel, until they finished to take out Izuku who was exhausted. In this way the years passed in which Izuku began to not only be trained physically, but mentally as well without having mercy on the boy. The years passed until Izuku had already finished his training, and it was noticeable in his body. At this moment he was in the bar having a drink. Kurogiri. It's good to know that part of your training is over. Izuku. Yes, I just have to keep training a little more and I'm ready to start killing heroes, he said to himself. Tamura. Well, that will have to wait. Izuku. What are you talking about? Tamura. Well, we want you to enter the UA as our spy to give us information about whatever. We'll take advantage of the fact that in a few weeks there will be the UA tests for your entry. Izuku. You realize you're asking me to live among heroes. Tamura. That's right. He saw how the boy began to take out some green flames, along with a black mark that appeared on his forehead, along with his eyes that changed to pure black, scaring the villain since he knew at that moment Izuku was beginning to get angry. Izuku. You're asking too much. Tamura. You have to listen to what I tell you. The villain left before the eyes of the two. Kurogiri. Relax, just let things happen. Izuku. One of these days I'll kill Tamura, that bastard thinks he can give me orders all the time. Kurogiri. It's just going to last a little while longer and that's it. Izuku. I'm going to get some air and take a walk to relax. The boy left the bar to start walking through the park wearing only a short-sleeved shirt that was somewhat tight due to his muscles, black sports pants and black shoes with white lines being sporty. The boy was walking for a while until he noticed how some men entered an alley with a girl and the people did not notice because they were looking at the heroes that were shown in the place. Izuku. Heroes seriously suck. I walk until I enter the alley seeing a scene that they did not like at all. Man. Come on, darling, you're going to like this. Girl. Don't leave me. Man too. Who cares if he ends up liking it or not? The men were about to take off his clothes, but giant hands with claws grabbed them to lift them both up and they looked at the green-haired man behind them. Izuku. Guys like you suck, you better not do that again or I'll break your bones, understood? Seeing the boy's eyes, they ended up getting scared and quickly went to the elevators while the girl got behind Izuku so that the boy could send them flying, causing them to crash into a wall, causing them to become unconscious. Izuku. Are you okay? Girl. Yes, thank you very much. Izuku. My name is Izuku Midoriya. Girl. Momo yaoi rozu. Izuku. Fine, if you leave me I have to continue on my way. The boy would start to walk but was stopped. Momo. Wait, at least let me thank you with something. Izuku. No need. Momo. Please, I insist. The brunette continued so Izuku agreed to start accompanying her to eat and they ended up in a dining room where they began to place their orders. Momo. So you were the only one who saw me among all people. Izuku. Everyone was focused on the heroes passing by, you know, autographs, photos and all that. Momo. That's bad in itself, that they're bothering people and not letting them do their job. Izuku. Nothing special can be done, I don't think they would be heroes anyway. Momo. Why? Izuku. A hero is someone who doesn't care about money, women, fame, but only cares about keeping everyone safe, that's why I don't think they are heroes. Momo. Are you going to enter any particular academy? Izuku. I'm just going to be in the entrance exams for UA, nothing more than that. Momo. Really? I'll go in too, but only on recommendation. Izuku. What's your quirk? Momo. It's creation, I can create objects based on my body fluids. Izuku. Really? I can see that. Momo. But it is forbidden. Izuku. Well if you say so. The boy brought his finger close to a candle where he ended up drawing some fire, causing the candle to end up lighting up to the surprise of the brunette because she saw that he used a totally different quirk before. Momo. How did you do that? Izuku. It's my quirk, I can only throw fire. Momo. But a while ago you showed a different quirk. Izuku. That quirk was my first quirk, it's called dark matter, I can create things like claws, wings, swords among other things, apart from being able to recover parts of my body using dark matter, the second one I have is this one from my fire. Momo. You have 2 quirks, it's amazing. Izuku. It's not that bad, there are people with more quirks in the world. Momo. I think it's only fair to show you my quirk. Izuku watched as the brunette began to bring out a kind of shine in her hand to make a cutlery. Izuku. Your quirk is great, you can create whatever you want. Momo. Yes, but I have to know the components that whatever I end up creating contains. Izuku. It doesn't matter, a quirk like this is still cool. Momo. Thanks, I think. They saw how the food arrived so they could start eating together having a nice evening, and in everyone's eyes, it was a date in which the 2 young people showed themselves as a beautiful couple until they finished so they could start walking around the place. Momo. I'm still surprised that you don't care or anything about my family. Izuku. What's special about your family? Momo. Wait, you don't know about the Yaoi Rozu? Izuku. No. Momo. It is one of the richest families in all of Japan. Izuku. Well, I don't care if you're rich or not, I really like you either way. Momo. This is the first time I have a friend who doesn't care if I'm rich or not. Izuku. And what can I say, there are many people who end up interested in others only for money, but luckily I am not one of those people. Momo was beginning to feel better with a green-haired boy next to her, so she got closer to him. Izuku. Although it's bad to say that just like that because you don't know if I'm a villain. The boy showed a sadistic smile with scary eyes making Momo move away, but the girl approached him. Momo. Even so, it's obvious that you don't know me well, I can defend myself. He said it while he had a kind of knife ready to fight, something that surprised Izuku, since the boy developed a great ability to be able to know if the person has something with which he can attack or not, but for some reason with that girl it couldn't work, but before they said anything, Momo's phone rang, which she ended up answering for a few moments until she hung up. Momo. I am sad to go, my parents want me home. Izuku. Then let's go. The 2 of them started walking while talking about trivial topics until they came to a part where they saw the girl's limousine, so they approached it. Momo. By the way, it's no problem if you leave me your phone number. Izuku. No problem. The boy gave her his number so that the brunette would leave the place, and Izuku would do the same. The green-haired man arrived where the League of Villains was entering through the bar. Kurogiri. It took you longer than I thought. Izuku. Well, I ended up making a new friend. Kurogiri. A friend, it's interesting but well I hope you do well with her. Izuku. Yes, I hope so. The boy walked to his room so he could be calm under the gaze of Kurogiri, who was only thinking what happened to him, since he noticed that his behavior along with something inside him had just changed, being something truly strange for him, but he put it aside while some villains entered the place. Chapter 3. After Izuku finished training over time by the villains having great power apart from meeting Momo and knowing that he had to enter the UA and get a new friend. At this moment Izuku began to get up from his bed to go down to the bar where he found Kurogiri who since early was cleaning the bar with a rag before the eyes of Izuku who only sat down, and Kurogiri passed him a drink that Izuku began to drink. Kurogiri. Today is the entrance exams. Izuku. I get it, I'm going right now. The boy got up to start walking calmly leaving the bar to take a bus, although he was starting to get messages, so he would start to respond knowing who it was from. Izuku. Hello Momo. Momo. Hi Izuku, I just wanted to know how you are. Izuku. Good even though you send messages early. Momo. I just wanted to know how you were, you know, how you're going to get into the entrance exams for the UA for that reason. Izuku. I'm just a little nervous, as normal for everyone, but well, I'm leaving because I'm almost there. The boy ended up hanging up to start walking calmly down the street until he reached a part where the entrance tests would be, entering the place to take a seat. Present might. Hey everyone, who can give me a hey? No one did as the hero asked, causing him to lower his head a little. Present might. A very tough audience. The hero would begin to talk about the test that was going to be written the first part, so they would begin to pay attention to the written part, although the boy came to feel that someone was watching him, so he took a small look to the side, noticing an Ashen-haired boy, but he gave it little importance to return to his thing being calm until he finished to deliver the test. A while passed and everyone would begin to give their tests until no one else was missing, so Present Might would begin to talk about the physical test until he was interrupted. Boy. Hello, I'm Tenyalita, and I just wanted to know that instead of having 3 robots as you say, the brochure shows 4, something that the UA should be ashamed of for making this mistake being the most prestigious academy of all Wild Voice. He pointed at Izuku, who had his hands behind his neck leaning back a little while he had his feet on the table with a bored look. Lita. It seems like you take this as if it were nothing to you, don't you realize that this type of things are for people who take it seriously, but if you don't care about any of this, then it would be better for you to leave right now. Izuku got up from his chair, somewhat annoyed because they made him get up. Izuku. You know something, Four Eyes, better you know something, can someone shine a spotlight on me? But those words I let someone finish illuminating it. Izuku. Thanks, where was I? Bakugo. Something, Four Eyes, better. Izuku. Thanks, you better shut up and sit down because you're very annoying right now and you didn't let the teacher finish talking, something very rude if you ask me, so you better take a seat and the explanation. In total, if I pass this exam, yes or no, in total it's not your problem. But that Lita sat down. Izuku. Thank you, you can continue talking now. The boy sat down so that Present Might could continue with the explanation. Present Might. Okay, the fourth robot has no points, it's a 0 point, so it's best to leave it alone. Everyone nodded for them to start leaving to do the physical test, while Izuku was calm waiting for the test to start, but Lita approached him who began to talk to him, so the boy would only walk calmly ignoring the blue-haired man until Present Might's voice was heard around the place. Present Might. I hope you are ready to begin the physical tests. They saw how the doors opened, so Izuku walked forward through the doors, confusing everyone. Present Might. What are you waiting for? There is no countdown for when the villains attack. But that everyone began to enter, although when they finished entering they all saw how the green-haired man was destroying all the robots with his claws, looking like a monster in front of everyone's eyes, who only began to destroy the robots before Izuku destroyed all the robots. In the teacher's room they watched as Izuku was destroying everything in his path without any problem. Nezu. This boy is very good. Izawa. He's definitely going to get into UA, but there's one thing missing. Nezu. And I'll take care of that. The little hero touched a button causing a door to open. Elsewhere everyone in a city had destroyed the robots in their path until they felt a tremor, so that Izuku saw how everyone began to run, while a giant robot appeared being 0 points before Izuku's eyes, who came to see how a girl was trapped in the rubble thinking about leaving until she remembered something. Flashback. Izuku was in front of Kurogiri, who was cleaning the bar as usual. Kurogiri. One thing you have to keep in mind, Izuku, is that in order for them to gain more confidence, you have to save people, save them if necessary in total to have more confidence. End of flashback. Izuku. It's amazing that he does this. The boy ran towards the 0 point robot to jump using his dark matter to start flying until he reached its head so that it would leave its wings and change to using the dark matter in its right hand, forming a huge fist to hit it, destroying the robot completely so that it would fall to the floor before everyone's eyes, followed by the boy going down to remove the rubble that was on top of the girl. Girl. Thank you. Izuku. You don't have to thank me. The boy would begin to walk, passing through everyone. He walked beginning to leave the tests, but he saw that in front of him was Momo, who upon seeing him smiled and approached Izuku, standing in front of him. Momo. Hello, Izuku. Izuku. What are you doing here? Momo. Nothing special, I just wanted to come. Or did you not receive my message? The boy saw that he had a message from the brunette saying that she was going to the tests to wait for him. Izuku. I didn't expect it, but oh well, why were you waiting for me? Momo. I just wanted to spend some time with you, nothing more than that. Izuku. Okay, let's go. They began to walk calmly through the streets, but moments later an Ashen-haired man arrived, looking for a person with his eyes. Bakugo. Where did Izuku go? Elsewhere in a shopping mall, Momo and Izuku were already walking, talking about trivial topics until they were interrupted by some boys who stood in front of them. Boy. Sorry to interrupt you, but honey, how about we go out one of these days? Boy 2. Or better, come with me, believe me, I'm better than anyone else in this place. Boy 3. Or better yet, me, I can protect you from anything. The boys looked at Momo's body being noticed by both the girl and Izuku, who stood in front of her. Izuku. I'm sorry, but she and I want to keep walking and get on with our thing. Boy 2. I don't think so, that doll will come with us. Momo. I actually can't go with any of you since he's my boyfriend. She said this while hugging Izuku's arm in front of the boys who were just looking at this. Boy. So how about we talk a little better somewhere else where there's no one? The boys began to approach Momo's direction, but Izuku got tired of the boys, so he stood in front of them to start walking towards them, making his eyes change from green to pure black, which scared the boys, who began to back away. But before Izuku did anything to him, Momo managed to stop him by hugging him a little tighter. Momo. Calm down, Izuku, you don't need to do anything to them. But those words Izuku stopped so that his eyes returned to normal, and the smile he had, which promised a lot of pain, went away to look at Momo and give a friendly smile. Izuku. Okay, if they let us, we'll continue. They continued walking, passing between the three boys who just stood there with their mouths open as they looked at the couple to leave the place, with great fear being noticed by Izuku, who had a smile at that. They walked to apart. Izuku. Okay, you're my girlfriend now. Momo. I didn't want you to end up beating up those kids. Izuku. But what tells you that I was going to hurt them? Momo. I don't know, I just had a feeling, but we better keep walking. Izuku only stood next to the brunette before starting to walk. Momo. And how did it go? Izuku. It wasn't difficult at all, the written test was more than easy, while I barely had to put in any effort with the physics test. Momo. It sounds like it was too easy or you are too strong. Izuku. I think the first one. The brunette had a smile that was noticed by Izuku, who had doubts. Izuku. And why the smile? Momo. What smile? Izuku. You can see that beautiful smile from miles away. The brunette blushed a little but hid it in time so the green-haired man wouldn't see it. Momo. It's nothing special, I just found it interesting how you protect me from the other boys. Izuku. What are you talking about? Momo. Since we went through those three, the other boys were looking at me, but this time I wasn't hugging you, but instead I was talking to you as if you were protecting me from them. Izuku. Well, since you said you're my girlfriend, I just took the role of the boyfriend, if that's okay with you. Momo. Yes, that seems pretty good to me. Izuku. Then you also think it's more than perfect that he's your boyfriend? Momo. Yes, that seems very good to me too. He just realized it because of what the boy told him. Momo. I'm not saying that we're already a couple or that I'm forcing you to be my boyfriend or anything like that, it's just that you already know how to act a part and all that, you understand me. Izuku. Calm down, why are you so nervous if I understand it quite well? The brunette was embarrassed aside from a blush, so she used Izuku's arm to hide it completely, making the boy laugh a little, being noticed by Momo, who pinched the green-haired boy's arm. Izuku. Oh, and that why? Momo. Isn't it obvious, it was to laugh at me. Izuku. But it was just a little laugh. Momo. It doesn't matter, you should never laugh at a woman no matter what happens. Izuku. I got it before you stabbed me in the sides with a knife. Momo. I can do more than a knife. Izuku. What do you mean? Momo. A metal staff, cannons, you know, metal things that are more dangerous and other things. Izuku. Then I have as advice to never make you angry if I still want to have a head. Momo. If you understand correctly. The girl hugged Izuku so they could continue walking for a while until they reached a time when the brunette looked to see the time. Momo. I have to go now. Izuku. I'll walk you to your limo. The two of them walked until they arrived so that Momo could finally say goodbye by giving him a kiss on the cheek to get into the limousine and leave the place, while Izuku had a smile on his face so that he would leave the place directly to the bar, seeing Kurogiri. Kurogiri. How did it go? Izuku. I did pretty well, I'm sure I passed the test. Kurogiri. That's good news for Tamura and Mr. All for one. Izuku. Yes, I'm tired, I'm going to rest. Kurogiri. I'm sure you saw that girl again. Izuku. Yeah, she's quite a good and funny person. Kurogiri. I'm glad you at least have a friend. The boy walked away from the place. Chapter 4. After Izuku went to the entrance exam to the UA, making a great destruction in the place apart from spending more time with Momo in the mall. At these moments everyone was waiting during those days for the letter to see if he entered the UA until they received a letter in which he showed how the boy managed to enter the UA for the happiness of Kurogiri. Tamura and Izuku, although each one by different parts, Izuku went to the UA starting to walk calmly, seeing the huge academy, so he only entered calmly, although he was looked at by the girls who ended up blushing when they saw the green-haired boy walking through the halls of the UA, while in room 1 there was a somewhat nervous brunette. Jiru. Are you okay, Momo? Momo. If I'm fine, why do you ask? Jiru. Well, you're really nervous and you're looking everywhere as if you were looking for someone. Momo. Well, I met a boy and he's my friend. He went to the entrance exams for the UA and I don't know if he got in. Jiru. You sound like someone who is in love. But those words, the brunette blushed a little, but luckily for her no one noticed. Izuku. Looks like this is the class. The boy ended up opening the door, drawing the attention of the brunette, who looked at the boy who was her friend entering through the door, but before he could do anything, a blue-haired girl. Lita. Hi, I'm Tenya. Izuku. I don't care. The boy passed by, causing Lita to end up with her hand outstretched. Momo, seeing him, tried to get his attention, achieving what she said so that Izuku would see her and smile, so he walked towards her. Izuku. Hello, Momo. Momo. Hi, I was waiting for you to come in. Jiru. Hello, I'm Jiru, Momo's best friend. Izuku. It's my pleasure Jiru, I'm Izuku Midoriya. Almost immediately an Ashen-haired man approached Izuku, being noticed by him as he looked at him. Bakugo. You damn Izuku, what's your quirk? Where have you been all this damn time? You made my mother end up worried a lot. 11. Izuku. Calm down Kachin, I was with some people I only knew for a few years. Momo. Do they know each other? Izuku. Yes, Bakugo is my childhood friend. Jiru. And what happened? Izuku. Well, a small accident and we had to separate for a long time until now. Bakugo. Damn, at least you should have sent something from where you were, my mother spent a long time looking for you. Izuku. Calm down Kachin, I just had no way of being able to contact you at that time. Bakugo. At least tell me what your quirk is. Earl. Hi, you're the boy who rescued me from 0 points, you destroyed him in one hit, by the way, I'm Ichako Uraraka. Izuku. Nice to meet you. Bakugo. Where the hell were you after the entrance exams? Izuku. I was just with Momo-chan walking around the mall. Momo's thoughts. Momo-chan told me. Bakugo. At least I can tell the old lady that I found you that way she'll leave me alone. Izawa. If you're here to make friends then go somewhere else. Everyone saw Mother Caterpillar finally coming out of the sleeping bag. Izawa. There are only places for heroes here, now I want you to go outside. Everyone did as they pleased to put on their sports uniforms and start leaving, although the girls, except for Momo, looked at Izuku with saliva coming out of their mouths since his clothes were too tight for him. Izawa. Okay, Izuku, what was your ball throwing score? Izuku. I don't remember. Izawa. Well, luckily the government keeps things safe, but now I want you to throw this ball inside that circle, but using your quirk it's okay, you can do whatever you want but inside the circle. Izuku listened to walk while taking the ball and being in the circle to look at his hand, followed by putting himself in a throwing pose, but everyone saw how his hand changed into a giant black hand with claws, scaring some until Izuku was in a pose to be able to throw it. When he was ready he threw the ball making a current of air, so that some ended up covering themselves until it finished, so that Izawa could show the score being 4,789 kilometers, surprising everyone. Hiroshima. That's great. Mina. This will be fun. Izawa. Funny. So if it's funny, whoever comes in last will end up being expelled. But that everyone was scared, although Izuku remained calm already knowing what the teacher wanted to do, everyone went on to the next running test, making each one pass by running, until only Izuku and Bakugo were left who passed. Bakugo. I hope you don't mind losing. Izuku. We'll see who loses. The boy let his wings be seen, which he took out to be ready until it sounded to come out, so Bakugo would begin to make the explosions, while Izuku at great speed, with a current of air passed by Bakugo, finishing before him, even surpassing Lita's score, surprising everyone. Bakugo. You sure got strong. Izuku. I hope you'll stand up to me in fights. Izawa. Next test jump. Each one went through the jumps, although Izuku ended up passing everyone using his fire, surprising everyone by seeing how he used 2 quirks. Haminari. Do you have 2 quirks? Izuku. Yes, I have 2. Izawa. Next, pressure force. They all went through the pressure force causing the boy to begin to turn his hand black until it ended up being completely black without the need for him to increase his hand so that he ended up breaking the device, surprising some of his companions so that they would move on to the last ball toss, although Izuku only watched since he did his part so that he could see how in the ball toss everyone stood out until they finished so that they could see that Mienta came in last place. Mineta. Nuo, I couldn't even see Jiru's ass or Momo's breasts. But the last words they made Izuku look at him with an evil smile as he walked towards him, and the girls just looked badly at the little dwarf, although one of them noticed a change in Izuku. Izuku. Professor, can I throw one more ball? Izawa. Yes you can. Izuku. Thank you. Haminari. But there are no more balls left in the place. Izuku. Don't worry, I already found one. Izawa. By the way, about the expulsion, it was a joke. But those words Mineta relaxed although it didn't last long since Izuku took him to throw him away before everyone's eyes. Momo. It was more than obviously a joke. Izuku. Don't be so sure. Momo. What do you mean? Izuku. Izawa is known for making that joke so that everyone gives their best effort, but when he didn't see that some didn't have the potential he ended up expelling them, that happened with our previous classes. Everyone was surprised by such a thing that the boy said, who was just calm while looking at Izawa who did the same. Izawa. You're right I was, but I could see potential in you guys. The teacher left before the eyes of everyone who only changed so they could leave the place while Izuku was about to walk away with Bakugo but saw a limousine that pulled up in front of him so the door would open for them to see Momo and Jiru inside. Momo. Do you want us to take you? Izuku. Okay. The boy entered with Bakugo so that the limousine could start moving, so that it could leave the place, while the four of them were just talking about trivial topics until they asked each other some questions. Jiru. And how did they meet? Izuku. Well, when we were little they just put us at the same table, so we started talking to each other and that's how we became friends. Bakugo. And we weren't the only ones since our mothers also became good friends. Jiru. Before they said that Bakugo's mother was looking for Izuku. Can you tell us why? Izuku. It was nothing important. Jiru. Come on, just say it, it shouldn't be something so big or anything out of the ordinary. Izuku. I just don't want to remember anything about that day. Jiru. But. Izuku. I have to get off. Saying that, everyone looked at him a little surprised. Izuku. I have to give something to a friend who is around here, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that he is close, so if you let me go down. Momo nodded for the limousine to stop and Izuku to get out with his eyes down and begin to walk calmly. Jiru. What's wrong? Bakugo. It's that when we were little, a villain ended up blowing up the house and his mother died protecting it from the explosion using her body, but nothing was known about him, that's why my mother was looking for him. Jiru. But it becomes normal for a villain to end up. Bakugo. No, the thing was that the villain collided with the gas part and it is more than obvious that it was because someone hit him causing him to crash into the gas because of that and it is assumed that it was another villain, but surely it was a hero who did that. But that the girls felt bad for Izuku as the boy walked to the bar entering to see Kurogiri, who was doing the same thing as always. Kurogiri. Hello Izuku, how was your first day of school? Izuku. Not bad, now I know who our teachers are. Kurogiri. Who are they? Izuku. Azawa, Present Might, Cementos, Midnight, another one who has cowboy clothes, another one who has a quirk that allows him to make clones and 13. Kurogiri. They are very dangerous heroes, but I notice that you are somewhat discouraged. Izuku. It's nothing important. Kurogiri. I know you Izuku so you can trust me. Izuku. I was asked a slightly personal question. Kurogiri. Which one? Izuku. About that day when you rescued me, who was my mother? Kurogiri. I see, well I don't know if it seems like a good thing to you, but it is said that All Might is a new teacher at UA for class 1A, in other words, he will be your teacher. Izuku hearing that couldn't help but let out some fire along with the dark matter, but saw how Kurogiri passed him a cup of tea. Kurogiri. To relax you a little at least. The boy would begin to drink the tea, relaxing at least a little since his flames, like the dark matter, began to diminish until there was nothing left in his body before Kurogiri's eyes. Kurogiri. Is there anything else you want to say? Izuku. Why else can I hide it from you? It turns out that the friend I made is a classmate of mine in class 1A. In other words, I'm with my first friend. Kurogiri. I don't know if that's a bad thing, but well, there's nothing that can be done about it. Izuku. Not out of pity, there's a high chance that I'll end up betraying my friend and my childhood friend who ended up in the same damn academy. At one point he saw Tamura come through the door with a black-haired man who had burns all over his body and a white shirt while the rest of his clothes were black, a blonde who had a sadistic look, although more than that she was crazy, while her clothes looked like those of a school. Tamura. They are the new members of the League of Villains, Davi and Toga. Izuku just ignored them completely without caring about anything. Davi. It seems that one of the group is very quiet or thinks too much. Tamura. He is Izuku who managed to infiltrate the UA, so none of us can say anything about him. Toga. Hello, Greenie. The girl approached him while Izuku finished drinking his tea and put it aside. Izuku. You better not bother me you crazy bitch or call me a Greenie. Toga. And why not? Green. Before he finished speaking, Izuku grabbed his head and slammed it against the table, causing him to end up unconscious on the floor. Izuku. At least that way she'll be quiet for a while. The boy stood up and started walking, completely ignoring the others as if nothing mattered to him. Tamura. Hey, damn, you have to tell me what you got. Izuku showed the middle finger as he walked, angering Tamura who charged at him, but before he could reach him, a large amount of fire came out of Izuku's body, partially burning Tamura, who fell to the ground, and Izuku disappeared into the darkness. Kurogiri. A piece of advice Davi, don't bother Izuku or believe me he will end up destroying you. Davi. It shows. Tamura. That damn wretch. When Izuku got to his room he just walked to his bed to sit down and take his mother's bracelet out of his pockets to look at it for a while until he fell asleep. Chapter 5. After Izuku had his first day at school showing great power in front of the eyes of all his classmates apart from Momo, knowing a little about Izuku's past, and he himself at the bar met the new members, at these moments the boy got up to get dressed and leave his room, seeing that there was no one there, something he took advantage of to start walking towards the exit. Starting to pass by the bar area so that Kurogiri could pass him a drink that was in a disposable glass that Izuku took, but before he left Toga got in his way. Toga. Hi there, Greenie, how about we have a fun time? He fell because of a blow from Izuku, so that he would leave the place taking a skateboard to leave the place. He was there for a while, until he got to the UA to take his skateboard and walk through the halls, until he got to the classroom to enter his place calmly. Jiro. Hey Izuku, I'd like to apologize for that. Izuku. Don't worry about yesterday, nothing bad happened except the teacher arrived. They saw that their English teacher was present might, so they could start taking normal classes, and Izuku solved all the questions at great speed, surprising everyone with such a thing that the boy demonstrated until English classes ended. Haminari. Can you tell me since when you became so good at English? Izuku. I was just studying for a while, that's all. Momo. Are you okay? Izuku. Yes, why? Momo. Because of yesterday, that's why. Izuku. Nothing special is happening although I think the teacher was about to arrive. They saw how All Might entered the place with a smile, causing everyone but Izuku to be surprised apart from ending with a smile, although Izuku had a serious look with some anger, and Momo was the only one who noticed this making her think what happened between them. All Might. Hello young people, today you will have a test with me, by the way, put on the clothes that the UA made according to what you asked. He said this as a box came out of the wall for everyone to go to the dressing rooms to put on their suits, while everyone was already in the dressing rooms. Mineta. Hey everyone look, there's a hole so you can spy on the girls. The dwarf was about to go, but a hand grabbed him to lift him into the air, making him see Izuku with a scared look. Izuku. You do that and you end up badly. He let go of Mineta so that he could run away in fear before everyone's eyes. Kirishima. Now that's a real man. They all came out having the outfits from the original story, although Izuku's was totally different since it was a black coat reaching almost to his feet with a dark green shirt stuck to his body. He had black pants with dark brown military boots, but something they noticed was a katana that he had on the side of his waist. Momo. What do you think of my outfit? He said this while he was behind Izuku causing him to end up turning around looking at Momo from head to toe, something that Momo noticed and she blushed. Izuku. It's very revealing although it's understandable because of your quirk, but it's good for your quirk overall. Momo. Thanks, you look good too. All Might. The test is about making teams, one of villain and another of heroes. The villains will leave a bomb inside a building, which will have to finish its count in order to win or defeat the heroes, while the heroes have to touch the bomb or defeat the villains in order to win. The teams will be chosen at random. They saw how a machine began to choose until they ended up being the teams from the original story, although Izuku's partner was Momo and Bakugo's was Uraraka, making them end up being villains against heroes. The teams began to pass until Izuku and Momo's was missing and Bakugo carried the bomb to begin the test. Momo. How will we fight them? They are very strong. Izuku just looked at her. Momo. It's just that Bakugo has a very strong quirk and Uraraka too, I don't know if I can. She fell silent when she felt the green-haired man hug her and give her a kiss on the forehead, beginning to relax her. Izuku. You are also very strong Momo, in fact the strongest woman I know to date, even if you don't notice it, I can see all the strength you have. The brunette relaxed so she could hug the boy, apart from blushing, and luckily no one was looking at them since they were in an alley until they heard how they could start. Izuku. Come on, we have to complete a test. The boy walked towards the building just like Momo. Momo. Everyone came in through the windows, using the walls, using the other buildings, but how are we going to get in? Izuku. A way that no one could think of. I grabbed the door handle to open it as if nothing happened, before the eyes of everyone who didn't think that, they began to walk inside the building. Momo. How are we going to do it? Izuku. I'm sure Bakugo will come for us so I'll take care of him while you go get your rocket to complete the test. Momo. Okay. At one point Bakugo showed up to try to explode, but before he could, Izuku made a shield with his dark matter. Izuku. Go get the bomb, I'll take care of him. The brunette left although she looked at Izuku one last time before leaving, while Izuku left the shield aside to see Bakugo who had a smile. Bakugo. I was looking for you to fight. Izuku. Just show me everything you've learned over the years. Bakugo. You'll see. Bakugo launched himself at Izuku, who looked at him to grab his arm and with a spin, make it crash into a wall, followed by kicking it, sending it flying, causing it to crash into a wall, so that Izuku jumped against Bakugo, giving him a kick that the ash-haired man managed to block, although it ended up breaking the wall. He got up to try to give an explosion to Izuku, who began to dodge it to see it, although he did not notice that the ash-haired man had a hidden arm that he took advantage of to give an explosion to Izuku, causing it to hit him full. Moving him away so that he could see it, followed by blocking another explosion from the ash-haired man, who had a sadistic smile to launch more explosions against Izuku, who only used his dark matter to protect himself, while elsewhere Momo arrived at a room where she saw Uraraka. Uraraka. Hello, Momo. Momo. Hi, I hope you don't mind me touching the bomb. Uraraka. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I can't leave you, but I hope I ask you for something that won't bother you. Momo. Which one? Uraraka. Leave Izuku to myself. Momo. What are you talking about? Uraraka. I noticed how you looked at Izuku, but I'm afraid to tell you that he is only for me and no one else, since he must be mine. Momo was upset by those words, so she just got into a battle stance while taking out his staff. Momo. I don't think I'll be able to leave that with you. Uraraka. Too bad, we could have become friends with that. But Bakugo the boy had stopped throwing explosions so that the smoke would go away, revealing Izuku, who was still standing without problems, leaving the shield he made to see him. Izuku. It seems that your temperament also changed a lot, Bakugo. Bakugo. Let's see how much longer you can last. Bakugo launched himself against him, but Izuku began to dodge him as if nothing happened before everyone's eyes. The boy kicked him in the stomach, followed by a jump, hitting him, sending him crashing into a wall, causing him to spit out saliva, but he had no chance to recover as Izuku appeared in front of him, hitting him more until one more sent him flying. Izuku. Don't tell me that's all. Bakugo. No, you see, the bracelets I have are not for decoration, with this I can make a bigger explosion. He said this as he pointed at Izuku to remove the safety pin, causing a huge explosion to hit Izuku, who could only receive it head-on while the building shook, causing the girls to feel this tremor, while everyone was worried about the green-haired man until the dust went away so they could see a shield of darkness, which when it went away Izuku could be seen with some burns, but he was healed with his dark matter. Izuku. I can't black, if I had activated a second later that would have definitely hurt me a lot, but hey, we can keep playing. Bakugo at this could have a sadistic smile to launch himself against Izuku, who at this did the same to grab Bakugo by the arm and throw him into a wall, and without giving him a chance to recover, he began to attack with everything he could, while Bakugo only covered himself until with one more blow, he sent the ash-haired man flying. Izuku. How are you, Momo? He said it through a communicator. Momo. Some complications, but I'm fine. Izuku. Get ready because soon there will be some shaking throughout the building. Momo. Yes. Izuku. Come on, Bakugo, I want you to try to make a huge explosion, one bigger than before. Bakugo. You'll see, damn it. She aims her grenades to activate the last one, but before the explosion reaches Izuku, she made her darkness create a kind of pipes, making the explosion go through different parts, causing enormous destruction, while where Momo was. The brunette had Uraraka against the ropes since with her creation, she made a staff with which she kept Uraraka away, and it was noticeable by some parts of her body that they were somewhat hurt, while the brown-haired girl took breaths of air. Uraraka. You damn thing. Momo. I think the game is over. Before Uraraka could ask why, she ended up feeling a tremor and the ground began to collapse, causing the two of them to fall. Although Uraraka used her quirk to prevent anything bad from happening to her, while Momo went to the bomb to touch it, making the alarm sound that they won, but something happened and it was that it kept falling. Something that was noticed by Izuku, who jumped to where she was. Momo. Izuku. Izuku. Hey pretty, looks like you need some help. The boy began to take out a large amount of dark matter to protect Momo, and then when they touched the ground, a cloud of dust formed and grew larger when the rubble fell on the dark matter, worrying everyone, but when the dust was gone, there was only the rubble that began to move so that the darkness could be seen, showing Izuku with Momo in his arms. Izuku. Looks like you owe me one. Momo. Shut up. Both Izuku and Momo had a smile on their faces as they walked out of the place in front of everyone's eyes. Izuku. Hey Bakugo, in the end we'll have to see who's the strongest another day. Bakugo. We'll see. When everyone left they had to change, although Izuku noticed how All Might ended up running to the elevator while blowing out some smoke until he entered, so that a large amount of smoke came out a few seconds before the elevator closed, being noticed by Izuku, who had a serious look but put it aside when he felt someone's touch, being the brunette. Momo. Is something wrong? Izuku. It's nothing, I was just thinking about things that weren't very important. Momo. We make a great team. Izuku? I think so. The two of them had a smile as they began to leave the UA, although everyone saw how Izuku took his skateboard to leave the place, while Momo only left the limousine with Jiru, although she did not take her eyes off the green-haired boy who ended up leaving the place. Izuku, once he arrived at the bar, only entered seeing Tamura with the two villains, so he only walked to the bar to sit in apart. Kurogiri. And how did it go? Izuku. The truth is that well, in the end the suspicions that All Might works as a teacher at UA are true, although some things came up that interested me. Kurogiri. Like which ones? Izuku. When he left he released some smoke, and when he got to a place where there was no one else, more smoke came out of his body, as if something was happening to All Might. Kurogiri. So All Might has a weakness. Izuku. Yes, but I'm not sure what that weakness could be, to be honest. Kurogiri. That weakness could be many things, but we have to see what it is. Izuku. I'm going to need more time then. Tamura. And you're going to tell us more things. Izuku. Please shut up, Tamura, you're already annoying early. Tamura. You bucking son of a bitch. Izuku. She's dead, see you later. Kurogiri. Today was a tiring day. The boy got up to start walking to his room, but when he noticed Toga approaching. Izuku. What do you want, Toga? Toga. I just want to have a fun time. He said this as he began to touch Izuku's body, but before he could go any further the boy grabbed his head and hit him against the wall, causing him to become unconscious. Izuku. It's obvious you really don't understand. The boy entered his room to start sleeping. Chapter 6. After he arrived at the UA to begin All Might's test, fighting alongside Momo against Bakugo and Uraraka, defeating them apart from noticing something strange about All Might telling it to Kurogiri and knocking Toga unconscious. At this moment Izuku continued with his usual routine of getting up and starting to walk to the bar, where the same thing happened as always. Taking his drink. Leaving Toga unconscious and leaving the bar to go to the UA, where when he was about to arrive, he found many reporters who were at the entrance of the UA, so he only walked to be calmer, even though it was not going to be like that. Reporter. What can you tell us about All Might? Reporter 2. How does it feel to have All Might as a teacher? Reporter 3. What is All Might like as a teacher? This and more questions were being asked, but Izuku ignored them, although he came to notice through his senses that Tamura was near the place. Izuku's thoughts. What the hell is Tamura doing here? Doesn't that idiot know that it's very dangerous for him to be so close? When he entered he just walked to his classroom to sit next to the brunette who just greeted him with a smile, making Izuku do the same with a kind smile. Momo. In the end you were able to get out among all the people. Izuku. They're just annoying reporters. Bakugo. You should ask about me, the future number 1. Izuku. And that's how Bakugo became so arrogant over time that when you're number 1, they'll ask about you. Bakugo. But you have to do it right now. Izuku. Then if you want I can tell them how I beat you yesterday. Bakugo. Damn bastard. Izuku was laughing a little until they saw Izawa enter the place with his usual bored look to take a seat. Izawa. Well my children, today you have to elect a class president. Saying that, everyone started raising their hands while giving reasons for being class president, some of which were like, we need a number 1, we need a real man, I'll make classes more fun, among other things being complete chaos. Izuku. This is definitely not going well. Momo. You can put some order. Izuku. As you wish. Izuku with his dark matter made some tentacles which took almost everyone by the waist to lift them up, making them shut up while they looked at Izuku, who had a calm look as if he was doing nothing. Izuku. At least you can take turns to say why you should be president, you all look like animals. Momo. This is complete chaos, we need some order, like everyone voting for a person in the room to be president. Mina. But if we do that we will end up choosing ourselves. Izuku. Don't worry, I have a way to avoid that. Haminari. How? Izuku. The first one to vote for himself will fight me. He said it with a face and presence that scared everyone except a brunette who put her hand on Izuku's shoulder. Momo. You don't need to go that far. But those words Izuku left the present so that everyone would feel calmer since that look still scared them. The minutes passed and everyone chose by vote, just as Momo said, so that they could see who was class president Momo Yaoirozu and vice class president Izuku Midoriya, so that the two of them could come to the front with great tranquility. Momo. I promise to be a great president for the entire class. Izuku. I don't promise anything about it. Momo. You're going to promise it. Izuku. I don't think so. They heard the bell ring so they all went out to the dining room to be calm, although when Izuku ate his food, he only sat in a part where he was going to be quiet, but he noticed how Momo approached him to sit next to him, being followed by others from the class who sat at the same table as Izuku. Izuku. Why did you sit here? Momo. I just want to keep you company. Izuku. I see. Haminari. Hey Izuku, what's your quirk? Izuku. I actually have two quirks. Hiroshima. That's great, what are your quirks about? Izuku. The first one I had is called dark matter, it lets me make some things like shields, swords, claws, wings among other things, apart from being able to help me heal. For example, if they cut off my arm, I can put it back in its place with my dark matter, and the second one lets me make fire, although it is a green color. Ajiro. You are someone very strong. Jiru. By the way, how did you two meet? He said this while looking at Momo and Izuku, who noticed this. Momo. Well, some people kidnapped me and wanted to grape me. Izuku. But luckily for her I was there, so I ended up getting in to save her. Toru. It almost sounds like the beginning of a love story. Momo. What are you talking about? Toru. It's more than obvious, you two will end up together. But that the brunette ended up blushing although Izuku was calm in his seat. Izuku. You don't always have to be guided by stories that can't possibly be true. Toru. I just say what I think. At one point an alarm sounded, meaning people had entered the UA, causing everyone to start running because of the panic they felt at that moment, but before Izuku's table got up, they saw how he continued to eat calmly. Hiroshima. We don't have to go. Izuku. I don't think so. Haminari. But that alarm is that the villains entered. Izuku. In fact, since I have a seat that lets me see out the window, I can see that they are reporters who broke into the UA. Izuku's thoughts. This is what Tamura wanted to do, he's a bucking idiot really. Hiroshima. Then we have to tell the others. Izuku. Then do it. Hiroshima. Wait, what? I notice how he takes it to throw it, making it crash against the ceiling, drawing everyone's attention, so the red-haired man could begin to explain everything. Jiru. Don't you think it would be easier to just go there yourself instead of throwing one of us in? Izuku. I saw a better way to not move from my place. They all ate so that when they finished each one went to their classroom so that they were in their places being the normal classes until the end of these came when Izawa had a somewhat serious look on his face. Izawa. By the way, tomorrow you have to prepare since you will be taken to the USJ for rescue training. But that everyone was happy so they could leave the place, although Izuku was on his skateboard, but he noticed Momo in his limousine. Momo. Don't you want me to take you? Izuku. No need, I can go on my own, but thanks anyway. He showed her a smile that made the brunette blush, so each one went their own way until he reached the bar to enter and see a new member, but he completely ignored him as he ended up sitting down. Kurogiri. Something new? Izuku. Yeah, that idiot Tamura at the UA gates being an incredible nuisance making chaos at the UA. Kurogiri. I know since I was the one who carried it. Tamura. You know I'm here. The new villain came to stand next to Izuku with a smile. Villain. Hi, I'm Twice and my quirk allows me to make clones that take the form of other people. Izuku. And I don't care, now go away. Twice. Come on, buddy. Izuku. Look, just touch me and you'll end up badly. Twice. I don't think you're serious. He barely put his hand on Izuku's shoulder and the green-haired man let out his fire that hit Twice, causing him to fall unconscious on the floor in front of everyone's eyes so that Izuku could calmly get up and start walking. Tamura. Wait, at least tell me some information. Izuku. If I do this, will you stop bothering me? Tamura. Yes. Izuku. Then tomorrow I'm going to do a rescue test with the entire class at the USJ, and now that I said it, stop bothering me. The boy left the place before everyone's eyes until he reached his room to see his mother's bracelet with a photo, making Izuku have a smile on his face, so he would lie down on the bed until he received a message on his phone, so he could see that it was Momo to start talking. Izuku. Hello. Momo. Are you doing something? Izuku. No, nothing special. Momo. I would like to know if one of these days you would like to be alone with me, you know, to pass the time. Izuku. You're talking about a date. Momo. Not so much as a date, or well yes, but if you want to come then come or not. Izuku. Then let me ask the question you want. Momo. What question? Izuku. Do you want to go on a date with me, Momo Yaoirozu? If it weren't for the fact that they were talking on the phone, they would have noticed the deep blush the brunette had on her face. Momo. Well yes, I would like to go on a date with you. Izuku. Okay, we'll see after the USJ. But that the conversation between the two ended and the brunette was blushing deeply. Momo. Did I do well, Mom? Momo's mother. If you did well, daughter, now you just have to wait for the day to come. Momo. Yes. In Izuku's room, the green-haired man put the phone aside, staying calm until he noticed a portal that Kurogiri came out of, and if it weren't for the fact that his whole body was covered in fog, he could swear he had a smile. Izuku. What happens now? Kurogiri. I'm just glad you got yourself a girlfriend. Izuku. First, she's not my girlfriend, second, it's just a date. Kurogiri. Your first date, but don't you dare let the other villains find out about this. Izuku. About Momo. Kurogiri. Whatever the girl's name is, yes, none of the villains must find out about this, or they can use it against you. Izuku. If you dare, you'll end up with more than another burn where the sunlight doesn't reach. Kurogiri. Don't tell me you fell in love already. Izuku. I didn't fall in love. Kurogiri. That's not what it seems, but anyway, if you two get into something, keep in mind that you're a villain, an infiltrator, and that girl's not going to like that. Izuku. Yes, I know, remember that I agreed to be the spy, and I know what it contains, all the risks among other things. Kurogiri. Good. Izuku. But changing the subject, I know you didn't come just to tell me that. Kurogiri. I'll just tell you that Tamura plans to attack the USJ. Izuku. Why doesn't he tell me himself? Kurogiri. He thinks you might end up ruining his plans, aside from his main plan, which is to use the Nomu we created to attack All Might and kill him. Izuku. That's complete stupidity if he wants to use the Nomu to finish off All Might. Kurogiri. Well, it seems that he wants to do that at all costs, finish off All Might so he can end everything at once. Izuku. Don't tell me, he thinks that way All for One will be proud of him and will end up giving him his quirk, making him his complete successor. Kurogiri. From the looks of it, that's it. Izuku. This is complete stupidity, I will end up destroying that Nomu myself if he dares to do something I don't like or ends up revealing that I am a spy. Kurogiri. Then we'd better hurry up. Izuku. Okay, if that's all you can go. At that moment Kurogiri left the place while Izuku fell asleep thinking about a brunette. Chapter 7. After the class president was elected with Momo being the president and Izuku being the vice president, and the announcement that they were going to the USJ causing Izuku to tell this to Tamura, who did not have good plans since Kurogiri told him. At this moment Izuku was in class with all his classmates, although he kept thinking about how it was going to be that Tamura would end up attacking the USJ, being that Izuku had hundreds of ways in which he thought of what it could be, until he came up with a possible idea, but he saw how Izawa entered the place. Izawa. Everyone come out with your hero costumes that we are going to the USJ. Everyone did as they pleased and went to change calmly, since when they left they saw the bus to get on, and everything happened like the original story until they arrived. Izuku. Fence is very big. The boy looked at the brunette who had a slight blush that no one noticed. Izuku. Are you okay, Momo? Momo. Yes, why do you ask? Izuku. You just didn't say that word to me all day, not even when I greeted you. Momo. Nothing bad is happening, Izuku, believe me. Izuku. Okay. Everyone came in to see Space Hero 13 exciting some students. Hiroshima. This place is amazing. Izawa. Where is he? 13. His time is up so he won't be able to come. Unfortunately, Izuku heard this and was interested in it. 13. Okay, students, here you will learn how to manage your quirks. As you know, some quirks are very dangerous and have the risk of killing, like mine for example. At one point the lights began to fail until they exploded so that they could see how a portal was generated in the center of the place that Izuku recognized. Izuku's thoughts. That's Kurogiri. At one point the villains began to leave the portal being seen by everyone until finally Tamura and Nomu came out, surprising everyone with how they appeared. Hiroshima. It even has fake villains. Izawa. No, they're real villains, 13 gets everyone out of here. Izawa jumped at the villains as the class began to run in hopes of escaping, but they saw Kurogiri appear in front of them to surround them. Kurogiri. Hello, we are the League of Villains, and we came to kill All Might, although we have to disperse them. 13 was about to use his quirk, but Bakugo and Kirishima launched an attack causing Kurogiri to end up covering everyone, so that almost everyone left the place ending up in different places, being that Izuku fell to the floor, but before he got up he felt something like a fall on him, so that he saw a dark-haired girl on him, who was sitting on a part that ended up blushing at the two who separated. Todoroki. They can have fun later, but now we have to take care of them. The two blushed but left it to see the villains. Izuku. Looks like we have to fight. Todoroki. I hope you're going to fight well. They saw how a large amount of darkness began to come out of Izuku until he formed those giant hands that scared the villains. Izuku. Then it would be better to go and finish them all off. Izuku launched himself against the villains, beginning to defeat all of them with a single blow without having any mercy, while Todoroki only froze everything around him, causing the villains to end up frozen. Izuku was finishing off all the villains on one side until none were left, but he saw how one of the villains was dangerously approaching Momo, so he went towards the villain, giving him a full blow, leaving him unconscious, as if nothing had happened before everyone's eyes. Momo. Thanks, Izuku. Izuku. You're welcome, darling. Todoroki. I'm leaving. The boy took out a large amount of ice and left the place in front of everyone. Izuku. We better get out of that part before more villains arrive. He left his hands of dark matter so that he could take out some wings from his back, being seen by everyone, so that he could take Momo in a bridal way, followed by starting to fly, so that Jiro and Kaminari could grab onto Izuku's feet so that they could leave the place, arriving at the entrance of the place. Seeing the boys who were with an injured Lita since his legs were bad due to an attack from Kurogiri. Momo. This is very bad. Izuku. You guys go ahead, I'll see how to go about the rest. I watch on the one hand how Bakugo approached with Tsuyu and Mienta, but more importantly how everyone saw that Izawa was being tortured by the Nomu. Tamura. It seems like it won't last much longer, we better take care of one of the students. Nomu kills one of those kids. The Nomu launched itself against the boys, but more specifically against Momo, who couldn't do anything against the Nomu who was in front of her, but from one moment to the next a blow hit the Nomu full on, so that they saw Izuku's black matter, which gave another blow sending him flying. Izuku. Now I'm really angry. The boy began to walk towards the Nomu who was trying to get up so that he could jump in front of him to give him another blow. Tamura. What are you doing? Kurogiri. Better leave it, I'm sure he has a good plan to fight the Nomu. Tamura. At least I'll see if he dies. Their little conversation wasn't heard by anyone, while the others just watched as the green-haired man began to walk towards the Nomu. Bakugo. This will definitely be a great fight. Tsuyu. Why does Izuku look angry? Jiro. I don't know but I think I have an idea why. Izuku walked to see how the Nomu was going against him, so he prepared to dodge his blow, followed by giving him another blow, causing the Nomu's head to end up against the floor, followed by forming a large amount of black matter in his hand to form a fist and give another blow against the Nomu, causing the place to end up rumbling from the impact of the blow, so that the Nomu would try to give him another blow, but Izuku took his head to throw him towards a wall, followed by seeing how it began to come out, so he took out his katana, which began to cover itself in darkness, to block the Nomu's blows to begin making cuts on his body, but everyone saw how the Nomu regenerated, as if nothing had happened before Izuku's cuts, until the boy released a large amount of fire, causing the Nomu's body to have burns as he moved away from the green-haired man who did not give him a chance, since with one jump, he arrived in front of him to give him one more cut, but this cut managed to take out his right arm before everyone's eyes. Izuku. Deja de Pellier, no puids conmigo. Todos viren como volvió a tener su brazo para dar un rugido contra Izuku. Izuku. Paris que no estás de acuerdo conmigo. El chico se puso en pos de combate para lanzarse nuevamente solo para hacerla más cortés al Nomu, pero antes que sus heridas abran lanzó una gran cantidad de fuego quemando la parte interna y externa del cuerpo, haciendo que diera un rugido de dolor, pero no se cansó ya que logró darle un golpe a Izuku haciendo que se aleje mientras soltaba su espada, la cual terminó al frente de Momo. Izuku. Entonces tendremos que arreglar los golpes. Lo dijo para hacer sus brazos de materia oscura y lanzarse contra el Nomu para comenzar un coque de puños a una gran velocidad haciendo que el lugar llegara a retumbar por los impactos tan duros que casi se lograban escuchar por todo la USJ. Hasta que Izuku usó sus garras para hacerla un corte para hacerla otra corte pero el Nomu tomó el brazo de Izuku para alzar lo en el aire y comenzar a azotar lo contra el piso repetidas veces hasta que logró zafirse para darle una patada al Nomu seguido de lanzar una gran cantidad de fuego pero del fuego salió el Nomu que tomó de la cara a Izuku para levantar lo en el aire y estrellar lo contra el piso para comenzar a correr haciendo una línea de destrucción hasta que lo levantó para estrellarlo contra la pared para comenzar a darle más golpes a Izuku ante las miradas de todos aunque Momo tenía las manos en la boca mientras no podía creer del como torturaban a Izuku mientras él no hace nada por lo que comenzó a correr. Bakugo. ¿Qué haces? Momo. No dejar que la hagan más daño. Cuando llegó a donde estaba el Nomu para hacer una espada que terminó clavando en su espalda haciendo que se detuviera para quemar a Momo quien comenzaba a dar unos pasos hacia atrás, el Nomu dejó a Izuku quien estaba sangrando, pero luego a ver como el Nomu iba hacia Momo. Izuku. No puedo dejar que la haga daño. El Nomu estaba por golpear a Momo quien cerró los ojos, pero cuando escuchó que dieron un golpe y al no sentir nada miró que al frente suyo estaba Izuku tomando la muñeca del Nomu el cual no podía avanzar hasta que de un movimiento lo mandó a volar. Momo. Que bien, ya estás de pie. Miroku ando si dio la vuelta siendo que el chico tenía una gran cantidad de oscuridad en su cuerpo, hasta que se terminó rompiendo toda la parte arriba y una parte del pantalón, dejando ver que tenía líneas negras aparte de una clase de humo saliendo de su cuerpo, que era de color negro aparte de una cara sin sentimiento. Momo. Estás bien. El chico pasó a su lado comenzando a caminar directamente al Nomu siendo notado por todos. Tamura. Acaba con el Nomu. The Nomu launched itself once more against Izuku, but the boy formed his fist again, although bigger than before, and with one blow he stopped it and knocked it down against the floor, but he didn't stop as he raised his hand, forming a giant sword of black matter to bring his arm down, hitting the Nomu full on causing the dust to rise before everyone's eyes. When the Nomu was about to get up, Izuku put his hand on its head to lift it up, and a large amount of fire began to come out of its hand, burning the Nomu's head, but it didn't stop as it began to slam it against the floor repeatedly before everyone's eyes, until it sent it flying to throw more fire, hitting the Nomu full on. Mineta. It looks like a monster. Todoroki. More than that, it seems like he's behaving like an animal, he has no way to fight, nothing. Izuku went against the Nomu again to pierce it with his claws and began to burn it from the inside without any mercy, causing even the villains to begin to feel fear of the boy. At one point Izuku slammed the Nomu against the floor once more to put his foot on it to begin to apply pressure, beginning to make the Nomu's body sink further into the floor until he got tired to lift it up, putting it on its feet before everyone's eyes. Kurogiri. Now what do you plan to do? They saw how he formed that giant fist once again, but this time it was 3 times his size apart from starting to shoot fire out of the back of his arm holding it, so that at one point he ended up throwing the punch, hitting the Nomu full on causing it to be sent flying, so that it crashed into the roof of the USJ, followed by going through it before the eyes of everyone who was surprised at such a thing that the boy did, while at the same time the heroes entered through the door. Tamura. Let's go Kurogiri. Kurogiri. Okay. The 2 villains left the place, although Izuku, instead of returning to normal, was in the same way to see the heroes who got into a combat pose, so the boy was about to attack. Nezu. Prepare yourselves, we will have to hurt a student. Before they ended up going against each other, Momo stood in front of Izuku to hug him, surprising everyone. All Might. Young Momo, come out, it's very dangerous. Momo. No, I know he won't hurt me, Izuku isn't like that. The boy had his claws ready to kill Momo, but for some reason he didn't do it until his black matter, like the lines on his body, began to go away until they disappeared completely, so that the boy was left unconscious in the arms of the brunette, who only had Izuku in her arms to lay him down in front of everyone's eyes. Momo. You better sleep for a while, you did your best, Izuku. The brunette began to caress Izuku's hair, who had a smile. Chapter 8. After the USJ was attacked, causing Izuku to have to take care of all the villains, even fighting the Nomu using a form that everyone else had never seen, and ending up fainted in Momo's arms. At this moment Izuku was waking up to see that he was on a hospital gurney, but more importantly he managed to see some things like a letter that he took, so he could see that it was from Momo, so he just got dressed to leave the place, although not before leaving the place with the box that was apparently a gift from Momo. He went straight to the bar, and when he entered he saw that everything was calm. Izuku. At least everything is still normal. The boy took a few steps to finish dodging Tamura, who tried to use his quirk on him to knee him in the stomach to leave him lying on the floor. Izuku. I barely arrived and you're already attacking me. Tamura. You damn traitor, you destroyed my cursed Nomu. Kurogiri, you two better stop fighting, mister. All for One wants to see you. Saying that, he took Izuku and Tamura in front of All for One, who looked at them. Tamura. Why did you call us sensei? All for One. I understand that you carried out an attack on the USJ without my permission. Tamura. Yes, I did it to kill All Might. All for One. Yes, I know, but another thing I found out was that Izuku ended up defeating the Nomu who was going to kill All Might, so I would like to know, why did you defeat the Nomu? Izuku. Well, I would like to say that just as you told me with your words, to have their trust I have to earn it, and the more trust I have, the more power we will have over them. All for One. And you fought the Nomu apart from saving a student, why? Izuku. Because by doing that I gained more confidence in them, and I have more things besides, it's not curious a thing. All for One. What's curious? Izuku. Your name is All for One, and All Might's power is one for all, but if we united a little better, one for all and all for one, that leads me to believe that you two have a relationship, the power of All Might and yours. Tamura. What are you trying to get at? Izuku. I mean, if they have a relationship, it comes to mind that One for All can only be defeated by All for One and vice versa. All for One. Interesting, Kurogiri, take Tamura out of here, I want to talk a little more with Izuku. That way they took Tamura while Izuku was left with the number 1 villain. All for One. You're the first to be able to think something like that and be right in what you say. Izuku. Yes, but I don't understand what you're trying to get at. All for one. I was thinking for a long time about giving all for one to Tamura, since that is my quirk and the reason for having so many quirks, but now that I see it, well, maybe you are a better successor than me, and with this you can be more than 100 years old. Izuku. If you had it for so long, at least you can explain it to me a little. All for one. You see, whether I like it or not, I created one for all, that's why I have to destroy it, although out of shame I haven't managed to do so, and out of pity one for all is passed from person to person. The first bearer was my brother, and currently the 8th bearer is All Might, although I can find out when one for all is passed on to another person from what's there. Izuku. A 9th wielder and All Might being at UA leads us to the 9th wielder being at UA and in my class. All for one. Yes, that's why I want you to find out more thoroughly who the 9th bearer is. Izuku. Yes, but more importantly, can you explain to me why All Might doesn't look like before? All for one. That was when I killed the 7th carrier, that same day I managed to do incredible damage to All Might that he can't recover from, which is why today he is weaker than before, and to be honest, I got tired of having to fight against all the carriers, so you will take my place. Izuku. I don't know if I should really take his place, I don't even know if I can do the right thing. He saw for the first time how he got up from his seat to walk until he was in front of him. All for one. I want you to understand that sometimes when a person does things that are for the good of everyone, it can lead to them being called a villain. Many villains do things for the good of everyone, but they end up treating us like garbage, while the heroes become the real villains. I had this power, and everyone calls me a villain. Your quirk doesn't matter but what you do with it to show who you are. Izuku. I don't know what to say anymore. All for one. You can only say one thing about it. The boy looked at the villain's hand thinking about the following words. Izuku. Then I agree to be your successor, the next bearer of All for One. All for one. That's how it is said. They shook hands so that a dark aura passed into Izuku's body, causing him to end up falling completely unconscious for Kurogiri to appear. All for one. I don't want you to tell anyone what I did, I can't pass powers on to anyone else anymore, I no longer have All for One. Kurogiri. Understood. In that way he took the boy from the place. When Izuku woke up he ended up in his bed so he could get up and then walk around, but when he saw Momo's gift he approached to open it, seeing that it was a kind of heart-shaped necklace, so he only put it on to hide it with his clothes and leave the place. Tamura. What did sensei and voice talk about? Izuku. About what you don't care about. The boy left the place to go directly to the UA, where upon arriving he only ended up walking calmly to his class to enter it being looked at by everyone, so he only walked noticing that Momo had not arrived yet, so he only sat in his place until he saw how a brunette came in to stare at him and go to where he was. Momo. Where were you? Izuku. I just got up and went home, I felt fine. Momo. At least you know how worried you made me. Izuku. No. But that the girl hit him on the head, causing him to fall face first into the table. Momo. At least tell me you took what I left you. She said it with a slight blush, so that Izuku put his hand inside the shirt to start taking out a chain that was a necklace, but before he showed the heart that the brunette had, she stopped him. Momo. That's a yes. I noticed the blush so I understood that no one had to notice the necklace, so I just left it inside my clothes with a smile. Bakugo. Hey Izuku, what was that about the USJ? Izuku. What thing? Todoroki. He speaks when you defeat the Nomu. Izuku. Well, I have a stronger mode although I lose control, I call it Berserker state and it happens when I use too much darkness and what you saw happens. Mina. Wait, the defeat of the Nomu. Sai. And after defeating him he almost attacked us. Sato. If it weren't for Momo, we wouldn't understand how she managed to calm him down. Jiru. Even she doesn't understand how that was possible. Momo. I just don't know how to calm him down. Uraraka's thoughts. That bitch is taking more ground than me, I have to do something about it. Uraraka. Hey Izuku-kun, how about we go on a date? I mean after school. Izuku. I'm sorry Uraraka, but that will be for another day. Uraraka. How? Izuku. It's just that I have a date with someone else and I promised him a long time ago. For some reason Momo was happy about that until Izawa entered the room with bandages on his body. Izawa. As you know, we were attacked by the League of Villains, but we will not let that affect our traditions, so we will carry out the sports festival. Saying that, everyone was happy for the end of classes as they were about to leave, but they saw that there were several students covering the exit. Sato. What are they doing? Bakugo. They spy on the competition. Izuku. Would you please get out of the way, we just want to get out. Shinso. It seems that at least the vice president of Class A is kind. Izuku. Thank you, but for the last time I ask you to get out of the way. Tesu. Don't think that because you are from the hero class you are better than us. He fell silent when he felt something pushing him so that everyone could see a black matter, with Izuku being the one who began to leave with Momo at his side with a smile on his face until they reached the exit. Momo. By the way, I hope this doesn't bother you. Izuku. What thing? The brunette grabbed the green-haired boy so that he could put his hand next to hers just to take a photo. Momo. Ready. Izuku. What did you do? Momo. Just one photo. The brunette showed the photo of her with Izuku, although their hands were only touching each other by 2 fingers of each one that formed a heart, causing the girl to blush, although she noticed how Izuku blushed a little being the first time he managed to see that. Momo. I'll send you the photo. Izuku. It's not necessary, but if you want, do it. I noticed how nervous he was so he had a smile to pass the photo to him. Momo. See you tomorrow. Izuku. Okay. Each one went their own way, so that Izuku arrived at the bar only to sit in front of Kurogiri. Kurogiri. How did it go? Izuku. Not bad, everyone was surprised to see me in class because they thought I was still in the hospital and you'd see me around here more. Kurogiri. Why? Izuku. We'll have the sports festival and they gave us some time to be able to train. Kurogiri. Then I hope you win the sports festival. Izuku. We'll see what happens, I just hope Tamura doesn't end up attacking because otherwise it would be a huge stupidity. Kurogiri. Why? Izuku. They already attacked once, it is more than obvious that there will be a huge number of heroes in the place, so it is not a good idea to attack, because it is more than obvious that they will lose both more villains and other nomus, since there will not only be the number 1 hero. Luckily Tamura heard everything, so he dropped all his plans to attack the sports festival. Kurogiri. Mr. All for One told me to tell you about you not being the only spy. Izuku. Who is the other spy? All for One. The dwarf of your class Mineta, you two are the only spies. Tamura. And you will tell me everything you know. Izuku. I won't tell you anything because I'm All for One spy, not yours. Tamura. That dwarf doesn't achieve anything useful. Izuku. Well then, just make do with what you have so far. Tamura. Damn it. Izuku. Anyway, I'll be really busy tomorrow so I'm leaving. Kurogiri. But there's no school tomorrow. Izuku. I'm not talking about going to school. Kurogiri was thinking until he came to a conclusion making him happy for the boy. Kurogiri. I'll help you choose the right clothes tomorrow. Izuku. Thank you. Tamura. Where are you going? Kurogiri. It doesn't matter for the moment, just leave it alone. In the dark-skinned house he was thinking about what he could choose until he saw his mother approach him. Momo's mother. What's wrong, daughter? Momo. Nothing, just trying to choose something for tomorrow. Momo's mother. Then I will help you. In this way the two women were seeing what they could choose for tomorrow. Chapter 9. After All for One gave Izuku his power aside from knowing about the sports festival and the other UA spy, so that he could end up choosing clothes with Kurogiri. At this moment Izuku was walking through the park, calmly wearing a white tank top, along with a black shirt and shoes of the same color. The boy walked calmly until his eyes were covered causing him to stop completely. Momo. Who am I? The boy with a quick movement ended up hugging the brunette by the waist, making her blush apart from noticing that she had a white blouse along with a red skirt, black shoes along with a bag. Izuku. Looks like someone didn't want to dress up much. Momo. I say the same. He said this while looking from head to toe at the green-haired man who was calmly doing the same with the brunette. Momo. What do you want to start with? Izuku. I don't know, walk a bit, maybe go eat something we find, go to the movies. Momo. Then let's do that. The brunette took Izuku by the arm and started walking at a hurried pace, although she noticed his joy on his face, bringing a smile to Izuku's face, who was only beginning to keep up with her to be side by side. Izuku. Are you going to be nervous? Momo. Nervous about what? Izuku. The sports festival, there will be many people there who will see all of us, our performance, everything we have. Momo. Now that you mention it, that makes me a little nervous. At those moments the green-haired boy noticed the brunette's nerves, causing him to slowly start to tremble, until he felt someone put a hand on his head, so he could see Izuku with a smile on his face. Izuku. I know you can show great potential at the sports festival, I believe in you. With those words Momo felt better, well a slight blush formed, so she ended up hugging Izuku so they could continue walking, but they noticed how some girls and boys stood in front of her without letting them pass. Boy. Hey, cutie, do you want to go out with me? Boy too. Or better with me after all look I have a very strong quirk. Girl. Leave that other one and come with us instead. Girl 2. Believe me, we will give you whatever you want. Girl 3. If you want, we'll give you our virginity today. The girls were making a pose that would be hexy in the eyes of the two, although the boys approached Momo with flowers and chocolates that they had in heart-shaped boxes, but they saw how Izuku hugged Momo in a protective way. Izuku. Sorry but we're on a date so if you leave us, we'll go our separate ways. They continued walking before everyone's eyes, with jealousy on both sides, so that they would only walk until they reached a food stand, where they only bought their own food to sit on a bench to eat. Momo. So it seems you have fans. Izuku. Yes but I don't know where they came from. Momo. It was said on the news that a green-haired boy defeated the villains at the risk of his life, and you are the only green-haired boy. Izuku. Apparently that's how it is. He noticed that the girl had a food stain on part of her face, so he took a napkin to clean her face, being noticed by her. Izuku. You better be careful when eating, you'll end up getting dirty. Momo. And you are too much of a gentleman. Izuku. What did you expect? That I would come on a date and not know how to have manners like some millionaire, like drinking a cup of tea. He said this while pretending to have a cup in his hands and taking it elegantly, making the girl laugh, who made a laugh that Izuku loved, that kind of laugh that the girl gave, until they finished their food to start walking, continuing on their way until they noticed that there was a movie theater nearby, so they entered to end up choosing a horror movie that they both loved until they left. Izuku. I have to say it, I was hoping you'd end up getting scared and hugging me. Momo. A few days ago we faced some villains and you expected me to get scared with a simple movie. Izuku. Be careful. With that, the brunette ended up getting scared from the surprise and ended up hugging Izuku, who had a chibi face, and at that moment Momo realized that there was no one there while Izuku began to laugh. Momo. Don't do that. The girl would start pinching Izuku's face, who showed that it did hurt. Izuku. Please don't do that. Momo. Then don't do it again. Izuku. Okay, I'm not doing that. At that moment the girl left Izuku alone so they could continue walking until they ended up on a quiet beach. Momo. Can I ask you a question if it doesn't bother you? Izuku. Ask whatever question you want. Momo. Because when you saw All Might you weren't happy at all. Izuku. How? Momo. It's just that everyone was happy to see number one as a teacher, but you were just angry as if his mere presence bothered you. Izuku. It's just that he has something related to my mother. Momo. I understand if you don't want to tell me. Izuku. I actually think I can tell you at least. Momo. Only if you want. Izuku. Well, years ago All Might was my biggest idol, I wanted to be number one among everyone and save them with a smile, but one night everything changed. He saw that the green-haired boy's nostalgic smile ended up changing into a sad face. Izuku. The same day I discovered my quirk I was very happy, but during the night a villain was fighting All Might near my house, so I looked out the window with my mother, obviously seeing my idol with my own eyes made me happy. Apart from that, he noticed that I was with my mother at home, but he didn't care. He hit the villain that sent him to the gas part, causing the house to explode, killing the villain, but my mother ended up using her own body to protect me from the explosion, causing her to end up dead in me, not that I was safe thanks to her. Momo. But All Might was going to do something about it, wasn't he? Izuku. He just left the place without caring about our lives at all. Since then I lost faith in All Might, and luckily someone saved me and was the one who raised me. I noticed how the boy let out some tears, so he ended up hugging Izuku while wiping away the tears he had on his face. Momo. She can let it all out. The boy would begin to caress Izuku's head while he just let out all the pain he had kept inside for a long time. Momo. How long have you been in pain? Izuku. For a long time, I never told anyone. Momo. That makes me the first. Izuku. Yes, although luckily I was able to have two things from that day. Momo. What was it? Izuku showed a bracelet along with a photo of him and his mother smiling. Izuku. She was the only person who supported me in everything. The boy was just trying to hold back everything inside him until he saw someone put a hand on him so he could see the brunette with a smile on her face. Momo. Now you are not alone, you can trust me for anything. But that Izuku ended up hugging Momo, who only returned the hug, having a beautiful moment between the two of them until Izuku's phone started to ring so he could see that they were messages just like Momo. Izuku. Looks like they want me back home, I'm starting to worry them. Momo. Me too, I came without telling my dad, I have to go, there's a limousine not far away waiting for me. Izuku. I'll go with you. The green-haired boy would begin to accompany the brunette to the limousine, watching everything so that she was about to enter, but before doing so, he ended up saying goodbye to Izuku by giving him a kiss on the mouth, surprising him while she left the place with a blush from the place. Izuku only looked at the limousine so that she ended up touching her lips. Izuku. What is this that I'm starting to feel? Kurajiri. I think that's love. He saw the villain who was hiding. Izuku. We can tell since when you've been watching us. Kurogiri. I was watching them all day and they look like a beautiful family. Izuku. Just promise me you won't tell anyone. Kurogiri. I can't promise any of that. Izuku. Do it. Kurogiri. Relax, I wasn't going to tell anyone that you two were dating anyway. Izuku. Thanks, at least I can trust you a little. Kurogiri. Of course you can trust me. Izuku. Let's just go. They left to appear at the bar being seen by everyone. Tamura. Where the hell were you? Izuku. Where you don't care, now get out of my way. Tamura. Wait, I wanted to know what you think if I pay a visit to the sports festival. Izuku. Why do you ask me? When you never consult me or ask me anything. Tamura. I just wanted to know since sensei told me to ask your opinions. Izuku. Well, let me tell you that if you do it, the heroes, since they know about you, will most likely end up catching you to hit you so many times that you will forget your name and they will take you to Tartarus. The boy began to walk calmly, almost reaching his room, until a crazy girl began to touch his body until she reached below his waist, passing her hand through Izuku's pants. Toga. Looks like we have something big going on here. Izuku. You better get out of my way, Toga. The girl would start touching her parts to try to excite Izuku, but it didn't work. Izuku. I'll only give what's mine to someone who deserves it. Toga. And I deserve what you say when you break me in bed. Izuku. You deserve a punch in the face from me to leave you against the wall, there is already a girl who can have only one girl. Toga. Who is the bucking bitch? She was taking out her knives but ended up with a blow from Izuku that left her head against the wall so that she would be unconscious. Izuku. Don't call her that. Elsewhere, a certain dark-haired girl was beginning to feel jealous and wanted to kill a blonde who was touching what was hers, but then she felt more relieved without knowing why. Momo. How strange, why did I feel that way? Izuku walked to his room to sit calmly on the bed until he started receiving messages so he could see that they were from Momo. Momo. My father wants to know who the boy I was with is. Izuku. Then that boy must be very worried. Momo. Possibly yes, it has to be very worrying for it to be true. Izuku. Then I have to wait for him at my front door. Momo. I think so. Izuku. Why the kiss you gave me a few moments ago? But that Momo began to blush. Momo. Well, I just did it on instinct, I felt like I had to do it. Izuku. How about someday I give you a kiss instead of my voice? Momo. Sounds good to me. Izuku. And when? Tomorrow. Momo. I don't think so, my father won't leave me alone tomorrow, he'll stay by my side all day. Izuku. Then at the sports festival where no one sees us. Momo. That is if we are lucky that no cameras can see us. Momo. We'll see about that. They continued talking to each other for a while until they had to fall asleep. Chapter 10. After Izuku went on a date with Momo, being with her to be able to tell her a little about his past that the brunette found out about apart from being watched by Kurogiri. At these moments the days passed in which Izuku trained in new techniques for the sports festival until the long-awaited day had already arrived. The big day in which all the people were walking to a building where the sports festival was going to take place while in a room was Class A talking to each other in an animated way until they saw how Todoroki approached Izuku and Bakugo, who were talking to each other. Bakugo. What the hell do you want, Winter? Todoroki. I noticed that All Might's gaze is on you, and as you know my father is the number 2 hero, so I am forced to declare war on you. But that everyone was surprised, although not much Izuku and Bakugo. Todoroki. And not just you, it is said that Izuku is the strongest of all of us, so he has to be sure that I also declare war on you. Izuku. And I tell you it won't be easy to beat me. Bakugo. I say the same. They said this with a challenging smile at Todoroki, who was beginning to walk away. Bakugo. Well, get ready Izuku, because once outside we are no longer friends but enemies. Izuku. Rest assured, Bakugo. The two had a smile on their faces as they looked at each other before breaking away, only for the green-haired boy to hear a dwarf. Mineta. I have an idea, I'm going to hit Momo's back to reach the goal, and I'm going to take advantage of it to touch him. Izuku. What are you going to play for who? Mineta and Kaminari looked back at Izuku with a smile, making them feel the fear in all its fullness. Mineta. I'll stick to Lita's back so I can get to the finish line faster. Izuku. You better do that or else I'll have to break some of your bones. The boy showed a smile to make Miento more scared and then he left to meet Momo. Momo. We'll have to leave now. Izuku. Well darling, I hope you win. Momo. I say the same thing, sweetie. The two of them had a smile to leave the place with the whole class. Present might. We have the first class of heroes, 1A. Everyone shouted with joy at seeing Class A in all its glory, each with a smile. Present might. This year's host is Midnight. He said this as the heroine appeared before the eyes of all the men who were happy to see her in her costume. Midnight. The one who will open the festival will be the student of class 1 Akatsuki Bakugo. The ash-haired man stepped in front of everyone who was waiting for his words. Izuku. And now comes your stupid words. Momo. You say it like you know what he's going to say. Izuku. Because I already imagined it. Bakugo. Understand extras, I will be number 1 and the winner of this festival. But that all the classes started booing him. Izuku. I said it. Momo. Well, you were lucky. Midnight. The first part of the sports festival will be an obstacle course. Everyone saw that they had to make a journey. Midnight. Go get ready. Everyone went to prepare, although Izuku gave Mineta a murderous look who felt scared. Midnight. Ready, begin. With that, everyone started running following Midnight's orders, but before the first one came out, Todoroki ended up freezing the entrance to leave with his ice before everyone's eyes, but some ended up leaving like Aoyama, Bakugo, Momo among others. Present might. A great start to the festival. Todoroki was running, but he noticed something near him, and when he looked closely he saw a head of green hair, with Izuku being the one who was running at full speed and passing by him. Izuku. Hi Todoroki, long time no see. Todoroki. How did you get out? Izuku. Let's say I can use fire, I don't know if you remember. Todoroki. You'll be a. Before he finished the sentence they saw Mineta passing by him, but before the dwarf continued, he ended up crashing into a piece of metal, so they could see groups of robots which were 0 points. Izuku. This will be fun. Todoroki. If you say so. He began to take out ice, while Izuku ended up jumping to end up near the heads of the robots to begin to destroy them, as if it were nothing with his claws of black matter. Each time he destroyed one in one jump, he moved on to another before everyone's eyes. Present might. Young Midoriya has great ability. Izawa. Yes, but he's not the only one. They saw how Todoroki's ice began to make its presence felt, freezing the robots before the eyes of everyone who shouted with joy at seeing such a thing as how they advanced, but it was worse when they saw Bakugo advancing with his explosions, destroying some of the robots, so that they would end up passing through that part. Midnight. We have the first guys coming through. The 3 of them were running until they stopped when they reached a cliff, but before they started doing anything, Izuku let his wings show to start flying, while Todoroki began to make ice, so that they could start passing through that part before everyone's eyes. Bakugo. They won't leave me behind. He began to make explosions in order to jump from one pillar to another in a row, although he was slower than Izuku and Todoroki, who had already arrived to start running. Present might. Todoroki and Midoriya are great students for how they get out of problems. Izawa. They are future heroes, they must know how to get out of the problems they have at the moment. The 2 were running although Todoroki was about to attack him with his ice, but before he did they saw Lita passing by him running, until he reached a part where he touched the ground to fly backwards, returning to the second part before the eyes of Todoroki and Izuku, who looked at the ground to notice some lumps of dirt, even though there were explosives in the place. Izuku. This is getting more interesting than before. Todoroki. I say the same. The Vi-color began to pass between the explosives, while Izuku just watched to think about something. Present might. It seems that young Izuku is already thinking that he can't pass easily. They watched a boy until he began to make with his dark matter a kind of boots to start running, but they saw how he stepped on an explosive, causing it to explode worrying everyone, but they saw how there began to be more explosions, meaning that the young man began to advance, and more when seeing how he had his fists extended back which began to shoot fire, causing his speed to increase while Todoroki saw the explosions that were on one side, since the other side was Bakugo advancing until he got to where he was to try to give him an explosion, but Todoroki managed to dodge it. Bakugo. Damn, half and half, you'll see what I'm made of. Todoroki. That's if you ever beat me. The Vicolor tried to throw ice that was dodged by Bakugo, but before they did anything else an explosion was generated between the 2 of them, so they could see Izuku who passed between them with a smile to continue on his way, so they looked at each other for a moment to see Izuku and start running after him, each using their quirk. Bakugo the explosions and Todoroki his ice in order to reach Izuku who was in the lead. Present might. Who would have thought, the young Bakugo and Todoroki stopped fighting each other to be able to pass Midoriya who is in the lead. Izawa. It's so exciting. Everyone watched as the boys were running at great speed, although more than running, Todoroki was making a pillar of ice in which he was going, Bakugo was flying with his explosions, and Izuku only used his fire to propel himself. But when he saw the boys approaching with his black matter, he made a board that he got on and began to go faster using the board and his fire following the head being seen by everyone who was more than excited to see who was going to be the winner of the race, until they entered the tunnel part being seen by everyone who no longer had cameras in that part. Present might. The winner can be Izuku, it can't be Bakugo, it can't be Todoroki. The emotion is killing everyone. Midnight. The winner is. Everyone looked until they saw a green head of hair that passed through the door, followed by an Ashen-haired girl and another girl, with half her hair white and the other half red. Midnight. The winner is Izuku as first place, followed by second place Bakugo and third place Todoroki. Saying that, everyone got excited to see such a race with the first three positions, so that everyone began to pass one by one, until the number of those who had to pass had already finished, while elsewhere the villains were giving money to Kurogiri. Kurogiri. Come on, pay each and every one of you. Twice. It was only the first part, I don't think it will come out first in the second or third. Avi. I still believe that the ash-haired guy will be able to win. Tamura. I still have faith in that Vi color. Kurogiri. As long as they keep betting on them, then I'll keep betting on Izuku. Toga's thoughts. Maybe if I have Hex with all three of them at the same time they will destroy me, but it will be my best Hex will experience without a doubt. The crazy blonde looked at the three boys while at the festival. Izuku went to a part where no one would be able to see him since he was at the entrance of the race, and he looked at everyone until he noticed how a brunette was able to finish the race on time. Izuku. At least I know I won't be the only one to finish the race. Momo. You only finished in first place, but maybe next time I'll end up beating you. Izuku. We'll only be able to see that if you finish before me in whatever the next test is. Bakugo. Damn Izuku, how could you send me flying with that explosion and end up in first place? Izuku. I'm sorry Bakugo, but it was the only way I had to win in the first place, and just like you said we are at war. At that, the ash-haired man just turned his back while muttering about the green-haired men being damn right, making Izuku smile, while Todoroki just looked at Izuku with one goal in mind, and that was to surpass him at all costs. Chapter 11. After the first part of the sports festival began being a race in which Izuku ended up being the winner, followed by Bakugo and Todoroki. At this moment everyone was looking at Midnight who had a roulette wheel to see the next part of the festival, until the roulette wheel began to spin, being that they were going to see the next part, in which it ended with one person over others, being that they had to team up as planned. Midnight. You have time to start making your teams. But that said, each one would begin to look for someone to team up with, while Momo would begin to approach where Izuku was like he did the same, beginning to walk, but they were stopped when they saw how they were taken by the hands, so that they could look behind them. Being on Momo's side it was Todoroki, and on Izuku's side, it was Uraraka. Uraraka. Come on Izuku-kun, we have to team up. Each one would begin to take them away, although before they lost sight of each other, they saw each other once more until they separated. Izuku. Well, since you brought me to this part then it must be because there is a team. Uraraka. Yes, we have Tokoyami. Izuku. And only him because it won't be enough. At that moment a pink-haired girl approached her until she was in the group, making them realize that she was Mei. Izuku. And you are the fourth member of our team, why? Mei. It's not obvious, you'll have all the points, so if I have you on my side, I'll be able to show my babies to the world. Izuku. Wait, your babies? Mei. Yes. At that moment he showed his experiments making them understand what the pink-haired girl was referring to. Izuku. Okay, then we have to start putting together how we're going to do all this. Midnight. Time's up, I hope you're ready. Each group was like the original story only waiting for the order to be given. Midnight. Begin. Saying that, everyone went towards Izuku's group, who in the face of this only activated their boots to be able to escape from that part of the sauna, avoiding all the groups completely to end up somewhere else, so they could see that they got far enough away. Tokoyami. What's the plan? Uraraka. We have to attack them in order to win. Izuku. No, we have the most points, we have to keep it so we can get away from everyone. Uraraka. Then we're not attacking. Izuku. Obviously not. Tokoyami. Well, a group is approaching. They saw how he began to approach, so they activated the boots to escape the place, and once they landed they only began to run in order to avoid everyone, but at one point one of them stepped on one of Minetta's balls, making them stop to see him. Mei. We're trapped. Izuku. I didn't expect that. At one point he dodged some balls next to Tsuyu's tongue, so that she could see Shoji who had the two companions trying to get Izuku's points. Izuku. This is definitely a free-for-all. The boy would begin to cover himself with his black matter making a shield protecting everyone. Izuku. We have to leave now, this will give us some time but not enough. He said this as he stopped Minetta's spheres and Tsuyu's tongue from hitting against the shield. Mei. We can't go out, it's too sticky. Izuku. Then we have to do it the hard way, I'm sorry Mei for what I'm going to do. Mei. What are you talking about? At one point he activated the boots, causing them to start generating more force until he ended up leaving the violet sphere, although because of this the boot that had the sphere ended up breaking. Izuku. Well, now we are free of one thing. When they landed, he noticed how a large amount of ice ended up freezing one of the boots. Izuku. And now we're in another problem. Before he could do anything he saw Todoroki's group going against him, so he could only use his giant fist to hit the ice, releasing it so that they would activate Mei's experiment, once again beginning to fly, but with a little of Izuku's wings, they were beginning to feel better, although they couldn't escape very far. When he was close to being able to get away with it, he saw how a wall of ice ended up surrounding them so that he could see how they were surrounded by ice, having Todoroki's group with them. Kimura. That's it, I can earn the money that Kurogiri took from me. Kurogiri. Don't be too sure, Izuku is someone smart enough to know how to get out of this. Izuku's group stared at Todoroki's group. Okoyami. Now what's the plan? Izuku. Hold on as long as possible to avoid having our points taken away. Mei. Sounds like the best plan we have. Izuku. Hey Mei, how high can we go? Mei. With the condition of my baby and your wings enough to be able to leave here. Izuku. Then prepare some tea because we will get out of here as soon as possible. Seeing that Todoroki's group was starting to move, they did the same to escape, but when they were close, Lita was going to use her thrusters to make Todoroki take the points from Izuku, but before they could take the points from him, the green-haired man made a shield to avoid it. Achieving it since they passed to the side at a distance with which he would not be able to reach Izuku, so that his group could continue on. Kaminari. What are you planning? Todoroki. They plan to escape. Izuku's group activated Mei's invention once again to escape with Izuku's wings, but in doing so they stood still in the air so they could see Todoroki's eyes that froze the last boot that worked. Todoroki. Your turn, Kaminari. Kaminari. As you wish. The blonde launched his electricity towards the group, but Izuku noticed a small staff that Mei had, so he took it to extend his arm. Present might. What does Izuku plan to do? They saw how the electricity went directly to the small bar, but before the electricity affected the others, Izuku surrounded his arm with the black matter, making the electricity not affect the others until the current ended, so smoke began to come out of Izuku's arm. Present might. What just happened? Izuku Midoriya used basic science. The electricity was going to go to a point where it could be called, so to speak, in these cases, that metal rod in his hand, and with the use of his quirk, he surrounded all the electricity in his arm so that it would not affect his companions. Present might. But can't that be painful? Izuku. In fact, his arm was completely burned, although if we remember, he has a small regeneration with that black matter, so he will be able to recover. Momo looked worriedly at the green-haired man who did not let his arm be seen while he had a smile. Uraraka. Are you okay, Izuku? Izuku. Yes, I am, thanks for asking. But that Momo began to feel jealous. Okoyami. New plan. Izuku. This made me a little angry, let's go on the attack. The two groups began to go against each other, making the public start to get excited, but a certain ash-haired man entered the place, causing a confrontation between Bakugo, Todoroki and Izuku, who had serious looks. Tamura. Come on, Todoroki. Avi. Come on, Bakugo. Kurogiri. Come on, Izuku. Toga. Orgy. The villains looked at her with a WTF expression. Twice. Damn, miss. They were already very close, but before the three of them collided an alarm sounded that stopped them. Midnight. Time's up. But that everyone stood still as they looked at the heroine, although Bakugo ended up on the floor. Kurogiri. Izuku finished first again, and you know what that means. At that moment the villains began to pay him, while Kurogiri still had a smile. Avi. There is still one part missing. Bakugo. I have hope for Todoroki. Kurogiri. We'll see about that. The festival had already decided which teams would make it to the next round. Midnight. They will be given a time of rest. Everyone started to leave, but once they left Uraraka took Izuku's arm. Uraraka. Are you okay? Izuku. Yes, I am, look. He said this to show his arm, which was in perfect condition, making Momo jealous. Momo. Hey Todoroki, do you want to go get something to eat? But that he achieved his goal, and it was to make Izuku jealous, something he noticed immediately. Uraraka. How about we go get something to eat? Izuku. Sorry, but I have to do some things first. The boy left the place to walk to a stand where he would be quiet. Todoroki. I'm sorry Momo, but I also have some things to talk to my father. He said this to leave somewhere else while Izuku was just at the stand drinking a drink that reminded him of Kurogiri. Izuku's thoughts. This one looks similar to Kurogiri's drinks, but they are not the same. The boy took it easy, noticing how Momo was with Todoroki and starting to read his lips. Momo. How about we spend some time alone after the festival? That was more than obvious to make Izuku jealous, who only took his drink to leave the place but noticed Uraraka, who was about to enter. Uraraka. How bad, you're leaving now and I wanted to talk to you a little longer. Izuku. Sorry, but I'm not in a good mood right now, bye. Uraraka. But. The girl took Izuku by the arm, who at this ended up showing a face of pain as he broke free from Uraraka's grip. Izuku. Don't do that again. The boy had an annoyed face that was noticeable in everyone's eyes to leave the place. Moments before, Momo was trying to convince Todoroki, but since she didn't succeed, she tried to go back to where Izuku was, remembering that he rejected Uraraka, but the green-haired boy didn't listen when he saw color and rejected her as she left. When he arrived, he saw how Uraraka took Izuku by the arm that was previously damaged so that he would show himself upset about it, and then, in order to let go, he felt a little pain and leave the place, so he tried to get closer to the green-haired boy, although he noticed that there were some people surrounding him and touching the same arm, causing him to have discomfort with pain. Something that Momo noticed perfectly. Momo. Wait, Izuku, wait a bit please. Izuku. I'm sorry dear people, but I'm not in the mood to talk. The boy walked until he entered the part where people couldn't enter, but students could. When Momo managed to get through all the people, he began to look everywhere where Izuku went, but he couldn't find anything. While in the bathroom, Izuku was wetting his arm until he noticed how Kurogiri appeared. Kurogiri. You knew you wouldn't be able to withstand all that electricity because of the internal damage it would do to you. Izuku. I swear I prefer any external damage, they are easier to heal than internal ones. Kurogiri. I brought something for the pain. He showed some pills that he gave to Izuku, who took them to see for a moment. Kurogiri. It's a little job that we do to be able to, you know, get rid of the pain. It doesn't cure you, but it does take away the pain from the damaged part. Izuku. Like a drug. Kurogiri. Yes, like a drug, but anyway, I'm leaving now. The villain left the place while Izuku only took one of the pills to leave the bathroom and start walking, noticing how Momo approached him. Momo. Are you okay? Izuku. Yes, I'm fine, but I thought you were with Todoroki. Momo. He didn't want to accept. Izuku. Then you should be planning for when you go out with him. Momo. How come? Izuku. I know. I can read lips, it's not that easy to fool me, but hey, you better start thinking about how you're going to be with Todoroki, because I have to go. The boy began to walk before Momo's gaze, who at this ended up getting sad for the stupidity she had just done, since she only wanted to make Izuku jealous and not in that way. Chapter 12. After Izuku had formed a group for the next test just to be able to come in first place again for the luck of Kurogiri, who was paid more than before and accepted the payment. At this moment everyone was returning to the festival since they were going to give to the beginning of the third part, in which they saw how they were not going to use the roulette wheel, but some screens which showed some photos of those who passed to the third part with their names only for Midnight to appear before everyone's eyes. Midnight. Let's start with the first round of sports festival participants, Class A Izuku and Class B Shinso. The two opponents advanced until they were on the platform ready for their fight, with Izuku with a smile and Shinso with a neutral face. Midnight. You may begin. When he said that, everyone expected them to launch an attack, but that didn't happen. Shinso. Today is a beautiful day, don't you think? Izuku. The truth is that it is a beautiful day to go out for a walk, train, have a party, practically for anything. Shinso. You fell. Hendo. Shinso's quirk is mind control, he can control anyone, although to do so they must answer one of his questions. Shinso. Now get off the platform. Izuku. You don't seriously think I'm going to leave the platform, or do you? Shinso. You're not under my control. Izuku. Obviously not, they subjected me to mind control training much stronger than yours, although it was almost torture, but don't think I'm going to submit to a simple control. The boy would begin to walk towards Shinso, who, out of fear, would begin to back away, making it clear that he was afraid of him since Izuku was getting closer and closer until. Midnight. Izuku is the winner. Shinso didn't understand it until he looked at his foot that was outside the limits of the platform, making him understand why he lost. The other fights happened like the original story until Momo lost since the girl was walking through the hallways to go with her classmates, but she noticed a green hair. Izuku. It seems that you don't look very well. Momo. Don't tell me now you want to make fun of it like the rest. The girl was about to move forward but felt a hug from Izuku, making her relax in the boy's arms. Izuku. I'm not like the rest and you know that well, you gave your best and that's what counts, you fought and lost, but it was a mistake that you can fix. Momo. Aren't you upset about what happened earlier? Izuku. The truth is a little yes, but I understand that without realizing it I made you jealous and because of that you made me feel the same, but it's over now, after all there is forgiveness. The green-haired boy showed her a smile which ended up making Momo smile so they could leave together. The other fights passed, and the first round had come to an end. Midnight. Now that the first round is over, it's time for the second round, starting with Izuku of Class A's first fight against Todoroki of Class A. Everyone was excited for the two boys who had shown great power so far. Midnight. Begin. By saying that, Todoroki threw a large amount of ice at Izuku, who at this formed a fist of black matter that collided with the ice, breaking it completely so that it could begin to advance towards the Vi color, which threw more ice. But this was nothing for Izuku, who advanced until he was close to giving him a blow. But before he did, Todoroki made a large amount of ice under his feet, avoiding Izuku's blow that hit the ice pillar so that he could see how Todoroki from the top began to throw more ice at him that was easily destroyed by Izuku until he hit the pillar, causing it to end up falling as if nothing happened, followed by Izuku, who saw it to start walking against him but noticed that he was going to throw more ice at him, so he formed a sword with his black matter to with one hand begin to destroy it while he walked. Present might. Now this is a great fight between two people. Izawa. They just use their quirks to the best of their ability. They saw how when he was in front of Todoroki he hit him in the stomach, knocking the air out of him. Izuku. If you declare war on Bakugo or me, then you have to use all your power, not half. Todoroki. How is that? Izuku. I know, please don't make me laugh. One half of the hair is white and the other half is red. It's more than obvious that if one gets ice, the other gets something different. He gave him another blow to launch him far away, making him stay in the middle of the platform, so Izuku threw some fire which was stopped by Todoroki's ice. Izuku was walking towards him, but when he was in front to give him a hit, Todoroki in a quick movement put his hand on Izuku's chest. Todoroki. You're right, if I'm going to fight or wage war, I'm going to use it all. At that moment he released a large amount of fire from his other side, surprising everyone so that he could hit Izuku, moving him a few steps away since without anyone noticing, the touch he had from Todoroki ended up freezing his insides, and because of the next blow, his bones and one more organ ended up breaking. Todoroki. Come on, use all your power, Midoriya. Izuku. And you don't know how much I'm going to enjoy it. The boy had gotten angry after that attack, so he began to release more darkness to launch against Todoroki, who threw ice and fire at him, but Izuku made a wall with his black matter to continue advancing as if nothing happened before everyone's eyes until he got to the front to kick him, knocking the air out of Todoroki, but before he could do anything the Vi color threw his fire at him that ended up pushing Izuku away, but he managed to stop to start advancing before the eyes of Todoroki, who couldn't believe how they held his fire until he got in front of him to hit him, leaving him against the floor, but he didn't stop as he grabbed him by the head to start dragging him across the floor while he ran until he lifted him in the air to crash him against the floor once again, and he didn't stop as he hit him to lift him by the hair and throw him off the platform. Midnight. Izuku is the winner. But that the doctors took Todoroki out of the place while Izuku went to another medical room since they noticed an enormous difficulty for the boy to walk. Izuku was on a stretcher inside a room alone until he heard the door open to see Momo entering the place. Izuku. Now the cutie comes to congratulate. He was silenced by a slap from Momo, who seemed upset. Momo. How could you do that to Todoroki? You weren't like you always were, you acted in a totally different way. Izuku. Hey, calm down, we just fought a little bit, that's all. Momo. A little. At least you saw the state you left him in, you behaved like a monster. At those words Izuku got up from the stretcher looking intimidating, but Momo remained firm. Momo. Now what are you going to do, hit me? Izuku. Tell me, do you want the necklace you gave me back? The brunette was going to lie if she said that question didn't surprise her, and in the silence Izuku had an answer. Izuku. I'll take that as a yes. The boy took out of his pockets the necklace that Momo gave him to give to her, who was surprised by such an act. Momo. Was it because I called you a monster? A normal word. Izuku. That's the word everyone used to describe me, kindergarten, elementary, high school. They called me a monster because of my quirk. They treated me like a monster. Nobody wanted to be my friend. Nobody got close to me. Nobody loved me. And there was only one person who didn't call me that way, and it was my mother. But well, when I thought you weren't like the rest, you decided to show otherwise. The brunette noticed how the green-haired man's eyes contained all that pain again, how he didn't want to let it out. Izuku. But well, it seems that not all of us are so different, or at least what I believed a while ago, but well, it is noticeable that you love that purple Todoroki more, so go with him. The boy began to walk out, but Momo grabbed his shirt to try to stop him, but all she managed to do was take it off to see the scars Izuku had on his body so she could cover her mouth, since some of those scars were more than obvious because of experiments. Momo. What did they do to you? She was about to touch Izuku's body on one of his scars, but Izuku took her hand so she could notice that she had tears screaming to come out of her eyes. Izuku. Don't ever try to take off my shirt or touch one of my scars again. He said this to take his shirt and put it on to start leaving, but not before seeing that he took some pills, although before leaving he saw Echover girl. Our girl. Wait Izuku, you can't keep fighting. Izuku. It's late, I'm leaving now, I feel better. He said it to get out of there before the eyes of the two of them. Our girl. This is bad, this is how he's going to die. Momo. What are you talking about? Our girl. The Todoroki boy is unconscious, but there is nothing that serious, but it seems that when he touched Izuku's chest, now it makes sense because he really froze his insides, and with the next blow, he ended up breaking many bones, and one more than another organ, but even if he recovers he does so slowly. Hearing that, the brunette didn't take long to go out and start running after the green-haired man who was walking calmly, or at least that's what it seemed like, since he managed to perfectly hide the pain he was feeling at that moment until he came across some people. Haminari. Hey Izuku, you sure went a bit too far with Todoroki. Izuku. Yes, but at least he's not that hurt. Mina. What do you mean? Izuku. The damn thing froze me from the inside and took the opportunity to break me internally. Mina. But you can recover with your healing which is almost immediate. Izuku. I wish it were like this all the time, I prefer external wounds since I can heal faster, but internal ones take longer than expected, although I think I deserved it. Haminari. But how much damage did it do to you? Izuku. Nothing special, just a few punctured organs and broken bones that are still healing. Mina. Then you shouldn't fight anymore. Izuku. Don't even think about it, honey, I'm going to keep fighting, but if Bakugo wants to face me, then he'll face me. Mina. What tells you that you will face Bakugo? Izuku. I have a feeling, sweetheart, pure feeling apart from knowing him, he won't stop until he faces me. He said this as he walked away with the others while Momo had heard everything and was beginning to feel bad for how he just treated Izuku as he looked at the necklace he had in his hand to open his heart, seeing that there was a photo that was of him and her when they formed a heart with their hands, causing her to let out some tears for how she treated Izuku in those moments. Chapter 13. After Izuku finished facing Shinso and Todoroki defeating them, although because of that he ended up causing Momo to hit him, so that moments later the brunette ended up regretting it. At this moment Izuku was walking with the others until they reached the stands where they got to relax, although it did not last long, since they saw that Izuku had to prepare for the next part, so he walked to the exit, although he met Momo on the way who tried to stop him, but passed by causing him to end up getting sad. Jiru. Are you okay Momo? Momo. I don't think so, I hurt an important person, and now I want their forgiveness, but I don't know how. Jiru. Don't worry, we'll know how to get his forgiveness, and that way you'll be with him. Midnight. The first fight of the third round will see two people who showed great power face each other. Present might. On one hand there is the sprinter of the class showing great speed all the time with the way he runs, from class A comes Lita. The blue-haired man appeared before everyone's eyes with a serious face, knowing who he was going to face, so he was just going to prepare himself. Present might. On the other hand is someone who has shown great power and can be called the strongest of all, a great encouragement to Izuku of class A. Everyone was excited as they watched Izuku, who had a sour look on his face, walk up to the platform. Midnight. Okay, you can start fighting. With that, Lita prepared himself as Izuku began to walk towards him. Izuku. Look Lita, I'm giving you the option to give up because I'm not in a good mood, to be honest. Lita. I'm not going to just give up. The blue-haired boy began to run before the eyes of everyone who was excited, although Momo was worried about Izuku who ended up in the middle of the place, as Lita ran around him in a circle, but Izuku just stared at him ready for anything, until he noticed how Lita was about to attack from behind, so he just ducked dodging a kick that was going to the head, so that Lita could run in circles again. Izuku. I don't know if you understand but you can't do anything against me. He saw how she was going to attack from another side, so he just dodged Lita's attacks in front of everyone, as if nothing was happening. Present might. Incredible, young Izuku easily dodges young Lita's fast attacks, this is exciting. Bakugo. Four Eyes better give up. Mina. Why? Bakugo. It's clear that Izuku is upset so it's not good to fight him, we saw how he fought with his berserker form, and I don't want to see that form again. By saying that everyone understood so they could see how he dodged it. Izuku. I'm already tired of this. He said this to dodge another blow followed by Lita running further so that it would go against Izuku again, but he ended up blocking the kick to everyone's joy, but Lita was beginning to feel afraid for some reason, and more so when she saw Izuku preparing a blow for him to hit her in the chest, causing him to end up moving away. Present might. It seems that the roles were reversed and young Izuku was going to start attacking. Lita would start running to try to take him by surprise, but at one point he saw how out of nowhere Izuku appeared in front of him, surprising him even more, so that he received a blow from Izuku that sank his head against the floor, causing the platform to end up rumbling before everyone's eyes. Izuku, you better perform or you'll end up worse. Lita, no. At that Izuku kicked him in the stomach, causing him to end up flying and crashing into the ground, but when he got up, he saw Izuku in front of him who hit him with his fingers in the chest, causing him to be sent back, but he noticed as if he continued like that he was going to end up outside. Izuku, now that's enough, Lita, never. He tried to get out of that part, but it was too late. Izuku grabbed him by the neck, lifting him up, staring at him in front of everyone's eyes, and ended up throwing him off the platform in front of everyone. Midnight. The winner is Izuku. Everyone celebrated to see how the boy left, so Momo tried to go see him, arriving in the hallway to see how the boy was, visibly angry. Lita. Hey Midoriya, that was a great fight. He saw how he extended his hand, but he saw how it hit the wall making a cloud of dust, but when the dust went away, he saw how it had the mark of Izuku's fist on the wall. Izuku. That's what I was holding back the whole time during our fight. Lita. That's good to know, but you still won't leave me hanging. I look at Lita's hand before turning my back. Izuku. If you knew the truth about me you wouldn't want to shake my hand. He watched as he walked past Momo's gaze, who was beginning to worry about Izuku, who was changing more and more. Bakugo's fight moved on to the finals. Present might. We reached the finals for the last fight with the strongest. Midnight. Izuku from Class A and Bakugo from Class A. Everyone was excited as they watched the two fighters walk onto the platform with sadistic smiles on their faces that were beginning to scare them all, although in the League of Villains, Kurogiri and Davi were shown to be more than attentive. Davi. Come on Bakugo, you can handle him. Kurogiri. No, Izuku can fight him. They watched as they walked until they were on the platform with those smiles. Bakugo. I hope you give me some fight. Izuku. Rest assured that I will win, but before starting I will compose some background music. Midnight. Begin. Bakugo went straight against Izuku using his explosions, as did Izuku, who was running at full speed, each one having a smile, until they reached their target to hit each other at the same time, so that a scream of excitement was given, so that Izuku and Bakugo gave each other another hit, but this time Izuku made a giant fist with his black matter, while Bakugo gave him a full explosion, causing them to move away, but they did not take out their sadistic smiles, so that they went against each other again, so that Izuku began to block and attack with his black matter, while Bakugo dodged the attacks of his black matter and gave explosions, making it more difficult for them to get hurt. Present might. What a great fight we are witnessing with our eyes. Everyone saw how at one point Izuku managed to kick Bakugo, which he blocked, but couldn't avoid a blow that went to the same face, causing him to end up moving away, but he didn't stop, since the boy was again in front of him to give him another blow to the face, causing him to almost fall to the floor, but before he continued attacking Bakugo, managed to hit him with an explosion in the face to kick Izuku, followed by another explosion that was bigger than the others to Izuku's chest, causing him to be sent flying, although he managed to get back up in the air until he touched the floor to get into a fighting stance, but before they did anything Izuku knelt down to spit blood. Midnight. Can you follow Izuku? Izuku. Yes I can. Midnight. Bakugo, don't come back. Izuku. Leave him alone, he hasn't done anything dangerous so far. He said this as he began to stand up in front of everyone's gaze. Bakugo. When Todoroki touched your chest, it hurt you more internally than externally. Izuku. If you guessed right Bakugo, I have enormous internal damage, but that doesn't matter to me. Bakugo. Why don't you care? Izuku. Because you wanted a good fight for a long time at this festival, and I will give you that fight, and don't forget that we are at war, and if we are at war one don't plan on losing. Bakugo. Then come. The two of them had smiles to throw at each other. Mina. Are they planning to kill each other? Momo's thoughts. Why do you hurt yourself so much Izuku? They were close to arriving, but Izuku saw how Cementos tried to stop them, so the green-haired man with his fire ended up destroying the wall to get to Bakugo so that they would hit each other in the face, followed by another to the chest so that they would start to bump fists, but something that Izuku noticed was how Cementos was going to try to stop them. Izuku. Haha. Bakugo. What are you laughing at? Izuku. It's just that even if my bones break and I hurt myself more, it's the first time in a long time that I have a fight in which I have so much fun, let's give it our all until we end up dead if necessary. He said it with a big smile on his face. Bakugo. That's how you talk. They had the same smile at this, the two of them hit the ground, causing Bakugo's explosions, along with Izuku's fire, to end up going into the air, where they continued their fight in which they used the pieces of cement that also rose to be able to continue fighting, in which everyone watched in surprise at how the two quirks collided. The sky being illuminated by Bakugo's explosions and Izuku's black matter that was seen everywhere apart from the fact that they could swear that they felt the clashes of the attacks from that distance, until at one point, Bakugo moved away from Izuku to prepare a big explosion, just as Izuku moved away to prepare a big hit of black matter, until the cameras could finally show what was happening. Making everyone see that this attack was going to be more than dangerous for the two of them, although more so for Izuku. Bakugo. Show everything you got, Izuku. He said this as a large current of air appeared along with smoke coming out of his body. Izuku. Don't even think I'm going to lose, Bakugo. He said this while also generating a current of air, and his black matter made a kind of smoke as if he was using part of his berserker mode. Midnight. Cements. Cements. You don't need to tell me. Midnight launched her quirk while Cementos was throwing a large amount of cement at full speed to stop them, but it was too late. One launched himself against the other, with a smile on his face, being close just like the quirks of the professionals, but it was too late. A huge explosion was present in the place, causing everyone to be covered by the brightness and the enormous current of air that was formed to the point that some almost ended up flying away, along with a large amount of smoke, causing enormous suspense to appear in the place as nothing happened about it. Present might. What happened? Midnight. I don't know. They saw how the smoke began to leave the place to reveal the entire broken platform, with cracks everywhere to everyone's surprise, but the surprise was greater when they saw that in the middle of the place, a tired Izuku and Bakugo were still standing, with Izuku with his fist extended and Bakugo with both hands forward with some blood coming out of his body. Izuku. Are we done with this, Bakugo? Bakugo. Yes, here we will make it clear who is number one. They watched in surprise as they began to move until Izuku stretched a little further, moving forward a little, hitting Bakugo in the face, although more of a caress than a hit, while Bakugo did the same, but in the end they saw how the ash-haired man fell to the floor unconscious, to everyone's surprise that the green-haired man was still standing. Although aware of everything that was happening around him until he knelt down. Midnight. The winner is Izuku. Nobody believed what they saw, two young men fighting like professionals having a great fight until Izuku fell completely to the floor, becoming unconscious. Midnight. Doctors, hurry up. The doctors appeared to take the two unconscious boys and take them away from the place, although they took Izuku even faster because of the large amount of blood coming out of his chest, something that everyone noticed, making them worry about him. Chapter 14. After everyone saw how the third round was carried out to have a great fight in the finals, in which Izuku and Bakugo gave everything they had in their hands, and in the end Izuku was the winner, although it almost ended with them being taken to the doctor. At this moment Momo was sitting next to Izuku, worried about the boy who ended up winning, although now he was in the medical part for having given everything he had in the middle of combat, although another thing that the brunette did not deny was that she was more than scared to see the huge explosion that was generated. Momo. You're a fool. How could you give your all in that fight and scare me like that? You don't know how scared I was in those moments. The girl looked at the TV that showed All Might ready to give the medals to the first three places, being Tokoyami and Bakugo, since he managed to recover, but when she saw the green-haired man again, he was no longer there. Momo. Where did you go? The brunette began to look for him in the hallways until she saw something on TV that surprised her and at the same time scared her a lot. All Might. Even though you came in third place, you gave it your best. He said this as he handed Tokoyami his medal and gave him a hug. All Might. For your efforts to give your best even though you came in second, but you showed that you are someone strong. He gave the medal to Bakugo, who was calm to everyone's surprise, apart from hugging him. Nezu. Unfortunately, young Izuku is not present to receive his medal. Man. Look, it's Izuku. Everyone watched as the cameras focused on one of the doors where Izuku appeared with his body bandaged and his torso bare, causing the girls and older women to have unholy thoughts. Midnight. You have to make up for not being in this part. Izuku. They think that I'm really going to win something and not be present. If that's the case, then they are very wrong. They watched in surprise as he moved forward to be in front of Bakugo, who was looking at him. Izuku. For a great fight. He said this as he extended his fist, and Bakugo simply bumped into him in front of everyone's gaze so that he would move up to first place. All Might. For your efforts in putting up a great fight even knowing the enormous disadvantages you had at that time. Izuku. Yes, I already know everything else, but just give me the medal without a hug. The symbol of peace did as requested to give him the medal and show a smile. All Might. These are the three who reached this level, being the champions. Everyone shouted with excitement at seeing the strongest people in the sports festival taking out Tokoyami a bit. When it ended, everyone went home, although no one could see where a green-haired boy went to discourage Momo. Elsewhere, Izuku arrived at a bar in a portal. Izuku. Hello everyone. When I look at them, I notice that Tamura and Davi seemed poorer than usual. Izuku. What happened? Kurogiri. It was a small matter with the bets that I ended up winning and they lost. Izuku. They bet with me, right? Kurogiri. Yes. Izuku. Well, I'm going to rest for a while, I'm destroyed inside. The boy walked until he reached his room to sit on his bed, followed by looking at his mother's photo for a bit and finally sleeping. The next day everyone from the UA was returning to their normal classes, although they did not stop talking about the fight they saw between Izuku and Bakugo being a great fight for all of them, although they looked surprised at how a green-haired girl walked through the halls of the UA calmly. While in the classroom they talked about something else. Hiroshima. It was a great fight, Bakugo bro. Mina. They are definitely strong. Bakugo. Yes, but Izuku didn't use his other quirk. He said it in white until they saw the door open and a green-haired man entered the room to their surprise. Lita. Midoriya, you should be at the doctor's. Izuku. I don't think so, I don't plan on staying still for long. The boy walked to his seat, sitting next to Momo as always, but the brunette noticed how he didn't even look at her, making her feel worse about herself for remembering the words she said to Izuku. She was about to talk to him, but Bakugo arrived. Bakugo. Damn broccoli with legs, why didn't you use your other quirk during the fight? Izuku. That's easy, Bakugo, I wanted to do my best using my first quirk, I practically fought at 100% using a single quirk. Bakugo. But you were hurt by that winter. He said this pointing at Todoroki, who wasn't offended. Todoroki. I don't know what they're complaining about. If I got hurt more in that fight, unlike him I can't recover during the fight. Jiru. But you did internal damage to him, and internal damage takes much longer to heal for him. Kaminari. He was fighting against Bakugo injured from the previous fights. Izuku. And to be honest, I'm not fully recovered yet, I still need to heal. Bakugo. As soon as you finish healing, you and I will fight using everything we have. Izuku. Rest assured it will be that way. He said it with a smile until they saw Izawa enter the place so that everyone could end up sitting down. Izawa. Well, my children today are going to choose their hero names with which they will identify themselves for the rest of their lives. With that, everyone was happy so that each one began to choose a name for midnight that helped them a little until it was Izuku's turn, who stepped forward. Izuku. My hero name will be Zeldris. But that he ended up confusing everyone until he ended up sitting in his place. Hiroshima. Why that name? Izuku. You see, that name refers to the youngest son of the Demon King, who was the leader of all the armies of the Demon Clan, apart from being someone to fear, because no one wanted to face him except his older brother and his father, but no one dared to face him, he was a monster on the battlefield. Kaminari. I think that name suits you a bit. Mineta. You noticed that there are many girls who want you in bed. Izuku. Yes, I noticed. Kaminari. And is there any lucky one? But that question, Momo felt a lump form in her throat as she looked at Izuku waiting for his answer, apart from the fact that each second seemed like an eternity to her. Izuku. No, I don't have anyone in mind. But that the brunette was relieved. Hiroshima. You already have a girl. Izuku. I don't know if I have someone in mind, or well, I think so, but the problem is that I don't know if we'll ever be a couple. Mina. Why? Izuku. Well, she gave me a kiss, but nothing more than that, apart from that she said some things that I didn't like at all. Jiru. What things are you referring to that you didn't like at all? Izuku. Well, there are words that describe me that way, I don't like them because of things from the past that sometimes keep me from sleeping at night. Hiroshima. That does sound pretty serious, but after all you are a real man. Lita. But don't you think that's a big deal? Izuku. The next day after Izawa said about the festival, a girl wanted to have sex with me, and it was because of how she was touching my whole body, and when I say everything I mean everything. But that Momo paid more attention to whatever she was going to say. Lita. And what did you do? Izuku. I rejected her, what else was I going to do? And then after the sports festival she kept bothering me so she could buck me, but if they paid me for every rejection I gave her, I'd be a millionaire. But that Momo felt more relieved. Izawa. Well, my children, you have to choose the internship since during the festival it served so that some hero companies could see you, so that you could do internships that way, you would have an idea of what the world of professionals is like. But that everyone was happy about such a thing so they could start choosing their internships, although they were surprised by the huge amount of internships that Izuku had, but the boy told him to throw his internship regardless. The classes went by normally, although Momo wanted to talk to Izuku, but couldn't find a way to do it until they left, so she thought about taking him in her limousine, but noticed how he had already left the place, making her feel sad. Mina. Hey Momo, can you take me home? It seems that one of the trains isn't working today. Momo. Yes, I'll take you. The brunette got into the limo with the pink-haired girl. Mina. And how are things going with Izuku? Momo. Well, I think so. Mina. You can't fool me, I know that. Momo. What are you talking about? Mina. I mean, I noticed how you looked at him as well as the expressions on your face, so I know the girl who kissed Izuku was you. Momo. Yes, you discovered me, but now I've messed things up and I don't know how to fix them. Mina. I think I know how to fix them. Momo. And how? Mina. I saw what internship you chose, and when I saw Izuku I noticed how he did it at random, so I took his internship and put it together with you, so the two of you will be together in the internship. Momo. Thank you very much Mina, I don't know how to thank you. Mina. Yes, everything is very good, very nice, but there is another thing that I found out about and I didn't tell anyone until I was alone with you. Momo. What is it? Mina. It's about Jiru. I found out that she's a lesbian and the reason she's with you is because she loves you. Momo. You're not serious. Mina. It's because of pity that it's like this, so you better be careful when you're alone with her, and if you fix things with Izuku, then show your relationship to everyone, so that Jiru will leave you alone, and Uraraka will leave Izuku alone. Momo. You find out everything. Mina. Yes, just as I found out a very important topic about Izuku, something that no one could have expected from him. Momo. What is it? Mina. Well, he is in love with you and only you, but the strange thing is that he tries to repress those feelings he has, and even more so today, since it seemed like he really wanted to talk to you, but he was repressing them inside. Momo. Then I don't understand why you want to repress your feelings, it's something I can't achieve. Mina. Well, try to find out during your internships. Elsewhere Izuku had arrived at the bar to sit down and have Kurogiri hand him a drink. Kurogiri. Looks like it wasn't a good day for you. Izuku. Well, there's not much to say, but well, we'll have to leave that topic aside. I can see how Tamura is planning something. Tamura. Yes, in a few days I will send some nomus to the city to cause panic. Izuku. Do whatever you want then as long as it's not near where I am better. Tamura. Just tell us where you're going to end up and that's it, apart from making sure it's somewhere where they'll always see you. Izuku. Don't worry, wherever I end up I'll be surrounded by people 24 hours a day, so it will be impossible for anyone to find out that I'm with you or something that ends up relating me to you in exchange for you sending a Nomu and ending up helping me make the food. Tamura. My nomus are not cooks. Izuku. I'm just saying but well I'm going to get some sleep. The boy left the place in front of the villains who just let him leave the bar, even though Toga was the only one who did something stupid. Toga. Wait, Greenie, you don't want to meet the new members. Izuku looked at the other members who were there. Izuku. They are all weaklings inferior to me in both power and hierarchy, so I am not interested in their names. Toga. Wait a minute. All the new villains were surprised to see how he grabbed Toga by the neck to lift her into the air and make her stay with her head under the ground so that she could continue on her way. Kurogiri. I'm still surprised she's not dead. Izuku barely made it to his room and was asleep. Chapter 15. After Izuku had come in first place in the sports festival and found out that they had made bets with him without knowing it, he would separate his hero name from the internships that everyone began to choose. At this moment Izuku was walking towards where his internship would be, seeing that he was in front of a large building, but he gave it little importance to enter the building. Starting to walk calmly to look for the heroine since he found out about the heroine he was going to be with until they covered his eyes, causing him to stop in his tracks to be ready to take his katana. Momo. Who am I? She said it with joy already knowing that she had a smile on her face, but the boy walked past taking his hands off the enzyme making Momo feel bad, so she walked next to him until they reached the heroine. Heroine. You guys are the UA guys I asked for, perfect at least this will be better for me. At that moment I noticed Kendo who was approaching the place. Kendo. Vala could wait for anyone but you. Izuku. Well now you see us here present. Heroine. Let's go to the most important thing, I chose the girls because they are pretty, while you, the green-haired guy, are truly hexy. Izuku. What good reasons, anything else? Heroine. Yes, you two will be in charge of managing my schedules and my paperwork. Kendo. We will be assistants. Heroine. Boy, you'll be the one watching my back to protect me from anything. Izuku. A bodyguard. At that point they began to do everything that the heroine told them, while Izuku only made sure that nothing happened to her until he noticed an explosion, causing all the people to start running away from the place. Heroine? Well, a few more photos and we can go. Izuku's thoughts. Seriously, these heroes must be destroyed because they are truly villains. The green-haired man ran away from the place before everyone's eyes, causing the heroine to leave the photos to go to where Izuku was with the two girls. They ran until they reached where Izuku was, who was looking at a larger-than-normal man taking a person as a rein. Villain. Allegin or I'll kill him. Izuku took a step forward, drawing her attention. Villain. Didn't you hear? Izuku. I want to make you a deal. Villain. What deal? Izuku. I want to fight you hand-to-hand without quirks. If I win you will surrender, but if you win you can leave. Villain. You and I, just the two of us alone, without anyone interfering. Izuku. Yeah, that's the kind of fight I'm talking about. At that the man smiled as he released the person who left the place. Hero. Now let's go against. He was stopped by a large amount of fire that did not let him advance. Izuku. A deal is a deal, now I'm going to fight him alone without my quirk, nobody gets involved. They saw how he took off his jacket followed by his shirt and his weapons, revealing a very well-worked body for the women who began to take photos of him, especially where he had the scars. Villain. Tell me, I have a quirk that only lets me increase my physical strength, you know, more muscle mass. Does that not bother you? Momo. That would be cheating. Izuku. I don't mind, if you want use your quirk and I won't use mine, I don't care at all. Villain. That's good. They watched as the villain began to walk towards Izuku, who remained calm until at one point he hit the green-haired man who took a few steps back but managed to stop. Izuku. You're gonna need more than that. At that the villain went against Izuku, starting with a punch to the face, followed by a kick to the stomach, causing him to rise into the air before everyone's eyes, so that the villain could jump to his distance, giving him another punch causing him to end up on the floor, but Izuku got up as if nothing had happened. Villain. Wait, aren't you using a quirk? Izuku. No, just watch so you can believe me. He showed that throughout the fight he had a necklace against quirks, something that made the villain smile, who launched himself again to give more blows to the boy who only received them until he stopped. Izuku. Okay, now it's my turn. He was about to hit the villain, but he pulled out Izuku's fist to start hitting the boy mercilessly until he kneed him, causing him to move away. Villain. Are you giving up, punching bag? Izuku. I'm afraid not, sir. The villain then activated his quirk, gaining greater muscle mass and launching himself back into combat against Izuku, beginning to land more blows with a few kicks at the boy, who only received them in front of everyone's eyes, who were surprised at such a thing from the boy who let himself be hit until another blow ended up sending him away, while in the audience he had Momo in a grab. Momo. Let go, I have to help myself. Hendo. No, let him want to do this on his own. Momo. But he can't use his quirks. They saw how Izuku began to walk towards the villain to begin to throw a punch that hit the villain's stomach, who was confident, but when he felt the touch he ended up being sent flying, causing him to crash into a wall before everyone's eyes, but they saw how he walked towards the villain who was only looking at him so that he would notice that he was going to do the same blow, so he ran as quickly as possible from the place, and when Izuku hit the wall he caused it to break, surprising everyone. Villain. This is impossible, that necklace is either fake or defective. Izuku. I'm afraid not, sir, this collar is working 100% fine. Villain. So how is it possible that you do that? Izuku. I hope you like it, it's called Shiori, a very powerful martial art that almost no one can control. In fact, a person controlled it a long time ago, but well, now he's dead and his name was Kaku. Hendo. That's a lie, it's impossible for anyone to know about Kaku's abilities. Momo. Who is it? Hendo. He is a very great martial artist, despite being 120 years old he could fight anyone, but it is impossible for him to know about Shiori. It is even said that Shiori has the ability to defeat a person with a strength quirk. Villain. So this was all a trap. Izuku. I'm afraid you're wrong, to be honest I didn't know if I was going to succeed so I needed a test subject. Villain. You damn it, I'm not a test subject. He launched himself at Izuku, hitting him in the face, causing him to spin in the air, but in between those spins, Izuku kicked him, causing him to end up moving away from the green-haired man, who got up to see the villain and began to walk towards him. Izuku. This is over. Villain. No, I'm not done. The villain once again launched himself against Izuku, who in response hit the villain's head, knocking him unconscious to the surprise of everyone who couldn't believe how the boy defeated a villain so easily, considering he had a quirk, so everyone went through to take the villain away. Izuku. Okay, one less. The boy walked to put on his shirt as well as his jacket and his katana at his waist. Momo. With what could you against him? Izuku. Obviously yes, I wasn't going to make a deal or a bet in which I would end up losing. Momo. I would like to talk about something very serious with you Izuku in private. Izuku. Okay. Hours passed and Izuku found himself with Momo in a room alone. Izuku. What do you want to talk about? She saw how he put a necklace on her which was the same one she once had around her neck and when she opened it, she saw that it still had the same photo. Izuku. What do you mean by this? Momo. I just want to apologize, I was completely stupid to tell you all that without even knowing your condition, that's why I want to apologize. Izuku. Because something tells me that's not all. Momo. It's just that I truly love you Izuku, ever since we met I've been in love with you, and I would like us to be a couple, for me to be yours and no one else's, that's why Izuku I apologize. The boy felt like something inside him was touching his heart, leaving him speechless, but he thought of the following before saying that he forgave her. Izuku. If it turns out to be that way, I want you to answer some questions first. Momo. Whatever. Izuku. Tell me if I really was an infiltrator of the League of Villains, what would you think? The brunette was surprised by such a question, so she thought about how to answer this because she knew well that everything was at stake. Momo. To be honest, at first I would feel devastated, I wouldn't know what to think about it, but if you were being an infiltrator for them, it should be for a reason. Izuku. What are you talking about? Momo. It's just that although I can't really know when you're lying, I can notice all the times that you were completely sincere with us, acting like a true companion, like a true hero and not like a villain, so I would think that the only thing you end up having with villains would be like a debt. Izuku. What do you mean by debt? Momo. I mean, they did something for you in the past, and you feel obligated to pay it back like a debt by doing whatever they ask of you, that's the only thing I would think of you. Izuku's thoughts. Damn, that hit the mark. Momo. Now I want you to answer my question. Izuku. Which one is it? Momo. Do you want to be my boyfriend? But that Izuku ended up in a total imbalance because on the one hand he had his part that said that he did want to go with a girl and leave behind everything about being a villain, but the other part denied it in order to protect her from the villains and the truth that he was a villain. He did everything possible to think of an answer since the answer he gave to the girl would be the one that would mark her future, but to his surprise, the brunette ended up giving him a kiss until she separated. Momo. It is noticeable that deep down you are making a very important decision, something that you cannot handle so easily, from what I understand, I will let you think about that answer, it is noticeable in your eyes. The girl left the place, something that surprised Izuku who didn't know what to answer about it, so he just walked out of the room to sit on an armchair thinking about everything, until an orange-haired girl approached him. Kendo. Hey, I have to ask you a question. Izuku. Now Kendo I'm thinking about very important things. Kendo. It's about Shiori. Izuku. I already told you that I'm thinking about something more important than that. Kendo. Answer or I won't leave you alone for the rest of your days. Izuku. Let me think. Kendo. What is Shiori like? Izuku. If I answer you, will you leave me alone? Kendo. Yes. Izuku. It's easy, Shiori takes out all physical damage from an opponent, the body relaxes to the point where you can't feel an attack, while at the same time you can accumulate the force of the damage to use it as a counterattack having greater strength. Kendo. Thanks for replying. Izuku. Although he has a weakness. That caught his attention. If using something like a piece of cement, a wall or the floor you will receive damage and feel it, that is Shiori's weakness. In that way the orange hair left Izuku alone who was only thinking until he fell asleep. Izuku was on the battlefield taking something that was going through his stomach while he was lifted in the air, so he would spit out more blood, and he threw himself to the side, causing him to spin on the ground until he was face up with blood coming out of his mouth. Chapter 16. After they went to the internships in which Izuku met Momo, so that she could tell him about her feelings apart from other things like the Shiori that she was able to show, and more so that the days passed in which Izuku was still thinking about being noticed by Momo, who only began to worry about the green-haired boy until the internships ended so that everyone could return to the UA in which they told about their experiences although Momo told with some shame that she was an assistant. Hiroshima. Hey Izu bro, someday I'd like to fight you and that Shiori. Izuku. Someday we can fight but in the meantime focus on getting stronger. Hiroshima. Yes Izu bro. Everyone watched as Izawa entered the place with his usual bored look to see his students. Izawa. Everyone put on your hero costumes and we'll go to a place to do the test. They all did as they were told to put on their hero costumes and get on a bus until they ended up in a part where they saw all their teachers. Lita. What kind of test will we do? Izawa. His test will be to face his teachers. But that everyone was surprised as they looked at the teachers who almost all had a smile on their faces. Momo. Can you tell us what the test consists of? Nezu. Yes, you have to enter the area with a partner. In each place there is a specific teacher, and the only thing you have to do is put handcuffs on your teacher or go through the door. Haminari. Just that. Nezu. No, to fail they have to run out of time, although if just one passes through the door it is enough, their classmates will be chosen at random, as well as against the teacher they will face. Everyone watched as each team began to be chosen, just like the original story. Bakugo. And I wanted something better. Izuku. What you want is a good punch in your face. Bakugo. Do you want to fight? Izuku. When we started. Nezu. You two will face All Might. Saying that they looked at All Might, who had a smile apart from surprising everyone by Bakugo and Izuku's opponent. Nezu. Go to the observation room while the first group comes in to do their test. Everyone did their part to go to the observation room, each group passed until Momo's group finished. Momo. Then you will face All Might. Izuku. Yeah, a tricky little fight. Momo. Yes, but you don't want to get revenge now, do you? Izuku. I won't take it as revenge because if I do I'll fail just like the Muslim. Bakugo. Who are you calling a Muslim? Broccoli with legs. All the teams passed until only Izuku and Bakugo were left, who began to enter before everyone's eyes. Mina. What will your plan be? Haminari. It must be a good one, no doubt. Hiroshima. Will he use Shiori again? Momo. No, Izuku knows that Shiori won't work against All Might. The two of them walked until a cloud of dust appeared and they saw a blonde man in front of them. Izuku. This is bad. Bakugo. Let's just get him to end up on the floor and that's it. All Might. If that's your plan then I'm afraid it will be difficult, young Bakugo. Izuku. Now. The two of them went so that Bakugo could start giving explosions against All Might, while Izuku only threw his fire making a large amount of smoke, but when they stopped attacking, some hands came out of the smoke that took the two boys to lift them in the air and throw them far away, although they managed to get back up. Izuku. You're gonna need more than that. He saw how All Might stepped in front of him to hit him, but he managed to cover himself with his black matter, avoiding the blow causing him to crash into a building. All Might. Now Bakugo. Before he hit him, something black got into All Might's eyes, making him unable to see, while a black whip grabbed Bakugo to take him to the roof of a building to see Izuku. Izuku. Let's go, we're no match for him. Bakugo. As you wish. They started jumping between the buildings. Bakugo. We need a plan. Izuku. I have one, but I need you to go straight to the door to get out of this place. Bakugo. Do you think I'll leave without doing something? Izuku. You can use your explosions to hit him in the eyes so he loses his vision a little, use your grenades. Bakugo. Now that's a good plan. At one point they were separated by a blonde who fell from the sky, causing the building to end up breaking, so they ended up on the street. Izuku. Now Bakugo. The ash-haired man activated his grenades hitting him in the eyes, causing him to go blind for a few moments, but when he regained his sight, he saw Izuku who was in front of him and Bakugo escaping. All Might. I won't let you get away. Izuku. To reach him you have to defeat me. All Might. That's already done. Izuku arrived in time to cover himself from a blow from All Might who began to hit him more, but Izuku managed to protect himself until he passed through his defense, beginning to hit him more in the face, causing him to begin to retreat before the eyes of everyone, although Momo began to worry about Izuku because they passed through his defense and the green-haired man began to receive blows until All Might left him, causing him to end up kneeling before All Might. All Might. I think I already won. He was about to leave, but a giant blow hit him in the face, so he could see Izuku who was still standing although he was more than tired. All Might. You can still stand. Izuku. You need more than that if you want to defeat me. And that they saw how he took control of his katana which was white, as well as the sheath which was white, so that the edge of his sword could be seen, so that he could put himself in a combat pose. All Might. Now what do you plan to do with that? At one point, without knowing why, he was attracted to Izuku, who with a movement of his katana, made him end up moving away, although he noticed that he had a small cut. All Might. How? Izuku. It seems that you were surprised by that, it's my special ability Dark Nebula. He saw how he got into the same pose to make All Might be drawn towards him, but this time he prepared to attack him, but before he arrived Izuku noticed his intentions, so with a movement of his sword, he sent him crashing into a building before the eyes of everyone who was surprised at such a thing. All Might. I never thought you had so much ability. When I look at it I noticed that it was surrounded by a dome of small thin black threads. All Might. So you have a specific distance so if I stay away you won't be able to do anything about it. At one point I noticed how Bakugo wasn't that far from the exit. All Might. I'm tired of games. With one jump he was about to leave the place, but he stopped, and when he looked down, he noticed how Izuku jumped so that he was inside the dome, so that with one movement, he would send him to the ground, causing him to stay on the floor, but before he got up Izuku already reached the ground, so that with one movement of his sword, he ended up making a cut to All Might, while sending him flying as if nothing happened before everyone's eyes. Mina. He's holding All Might. Hiroshima. He's someone amazing without a doubt. All Might. Enough. With a jump, apart from the speed at which he was going, he ended up reaching Izuku to hit him in the face, causing him to move away a little, but All Might hit him more until he left him on the floor with blood coming out of his body. All Might. Now Bakugo. When he jumped before he reached Bakugo, out of nowhere some whips tied All Might so that he could see Izuku who took him, so that the young man ended up drawing fire to go in the opposite direction. All Might. Don't think this will stop me. He took the black matter to bring Izuku closer to launch it against him, but before it could hit him, Izuku managed to dodge it to grab All Might. Izuku. Don't think I'll fall without taking someone with me. He began to draw fire from his body and begin to fly towards the sky. Jiro. Now what do you plan to do? Lita. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like a very good thing. Momo's thoughts. Please Izuku, don't do something crazy. Izuku was flying until he reached a part where he began to release even more fire. Izuku. Fire word. When he said that, a huge explosion lit up the sky, surprising everyone for such a thing for what his partner had just done, even Bakugo, who looked at him for a few moments until they noticed two things falling from the sky, so they just looked until the cameras began to focus well that it was Izuku and All Might until they hit the ground making two clouds of dust, so Bakugo just continued on his way. Hiroshima. How's Izu bro? Mina. I don't see it. Everyone looked, although they were beginning to worry about their partner, but Momo was already about to leave the place until they noticed something that was going to come out of the dust, seeing that it was All Might with some blood on his body. All Might. They haven't beaten me yet. He was about to launch himself against Bakugo, but they saw how Izuku threw himself to the side of the blonde, causing him to fall to the ground, making them feel more relieved to see how their partner was still partly okay, since his body was more than damaged, and his black matter did not heal him, being that he was very injured, until All Might threw him to the ground to hit him to try to run towards Bakugo, but black whips grabbed All Might by the arms, legs and neck so that he would look back, being Izuku who was still standing. Izuku. I told you before, if you don't defeat me then you won't go for Bakugo. With great difficulty he managed to do a spin, throwing All Might into a building, causing him to crash into it, but before he could get out, Izuku jumped, releasing a large amount of fire, to where he was to make the entire building collapse, so that they would be under the rubble, but at one point All Might came out. All Might. Let's get this over with. From the rubble, Izuku emerged again and launched himself at All Might, throwing him to the ground and holding him back. Izuku. I say the same. They watched as Bakugo managed to get through, making it clear that Bakugo and Izuku passed, making everyone happy to go to where the boys were, while Izuku got up, leaving All Might alone to start walking with a little difficulty, noticing how they congratulated Bakugo until they went to where he was. Hiroshima. You did very well. Ajiro. We thought for a moment that we lost you seeing you hit the ground or the explosion. Mina. It was great how you stood up to All Might alone. Bakugo. Hey, I also confronted him a little. Izuku. Thanks I guess. Uraraka. We have to take him to the hospital. Before she could answer, he noticed a head of jet black hair, so he walked over to where she was to see her, standing in front of each other. Momo. You fought well, but it's time for you to rest. Izuku. I think so. He showed her a smile, but they saw how he ended up falling into Momo's arms, who only hugged him, letting him rest in her arms. Lita. We have to take him to the hospital. Everyone nodded at this to take Izuku away from the place. Izawa. They are growing fast. All Might. I just hope that young Midoriya doesn't want to take revenge and turns to evil. Izawa. Why do you say that? All Might. Do you remember when I told you about that family I left behind? Izawa. Yes. All Might. Well, I don't know how, but young Midoriya is that young man from a long time ago. Saying that, Izawa was surprised as he looked at Izuku, who was being grabbed by his companions. Chapter 17. After Izuku and Bakugo took the teacher's test, in which Izuku gave everything he had against All Might so that Bakugo could get through the door, and thanks to that they passed the test, although Izuku was in the medical part due to his injuries, until he woke up to look around him, seeing that there was no one else but him, so he only got up to get dressed and start walking out of the room to walk through the halls of UA, getting to see his things, so he only took them to go to his classroom, noticing that Izawa had not arrived yet, so he took the opportunity to enter, being seen by everyone. Hiroshima. Izu bro is back on his feet. Everyone showed him a smile, surprising Izuku a little, who never received that kind of look ever, so he just walked to his seat to sit down. Momo. It seems that you are feeling better now. Izuku. Obviously cute, I'll always feel better to be able to stand. Momo. It seems so. The brunette showed him a smile that infected Izuku, who also had it, although this made Uraraka and Jiro angry, who looked at him badly. Izawa. Okay, everyone will be able to go to camp, but those who failed the test will receive their punishment, but in the meantime they will go to the mall to do the shopping they need. But that everyone felt happy, so they went out to do their shopping. Haminari. We're gonna need a lot of things. Izuku. We don't really need many things to go to camp. Hiroshima. But we don't have a bathroom. Izuku. We'll mark a part where we can do our business and bathe. Lita. What about food? Izuku. We can always hunt animals. Mina. I'm not going to kill a poor rabbit. Izuku. Maybe some of us won't, but others of us will end up hunting rabbits, although there are other animals and not just rabbits. Haminari. What if we need to charge our phones or something? Izuku. We have you and your quirk. Haminari. They're gonna use me as a battery. Bakugo. At least you'll be of some use. They all started walking, but at one point Izuku took Momo by the hand to go to a part where no one would be able to see them. Momo. Why did you bring me here? Izuku. Well, it's that you gave me a necklace, and I thought that I had to do the same, you know, to be equal, and it's not that I'm very sentimental, in fact I don't even know if I'm explaining myself well. The boy kept talking, making it clear that he was nervous while one of his hands was behind his head, making his nerves bigger, while the other hand had a small box which Momo took to open it, seeing that it was a necklace that had a heart which had a small button on one side that she pressed so that she could see how inside on one side there was a photo of him kissing her and the other side had her hugging Izuku from behind, who had a smile on his face. Izuku. I don't know if you like it, but if you want to change it or something else you can always. He was silenced as he felt Momo's embrace. Momo. I like it a lot. Izuku. Let's go with the others who will start to worry. The two of them left and luckily no one had noticed they were gone, so they could be back among the whole group walking. Hiroshima. Hey Izu bro, you know a lot about this camp stuff. Izuku. It's just that a while ago in my training before entering the UA, I was trying to specialize in anything, and one of those was the forest. Hiroshima. Something about men, but what did you have? Izuku. 2 changes of clothes and a knife. Haminari. Nothing else. Izuku. Nothing else. Hiroshima. A man among men. Saying that, some started laughing, so they walked until Izuku noticed Muscular, who was bothering some people in a store, so he approached him. Man. I'm sorry sir, but we cannot give a refund. Muscular. What do you mean? Do you want a punch in the face? Izuku. Excuse me sir, but I ask you to leave that man alone. Muscular looked at Izuku with a sadistic smile on his face. Muscular. And what do you want me to do then? Izuku. Just leave him alone, he didn't do anything bad to you. Muscular. Well, whatever you want, young man. At that point he released the man, letting him fall to the ground and leaving the place. Izuku. Are you okay sir? Man. Yes, thank you very much. Izuku returned to his group to spend more time with them. Jiro. Did you know him? Izuku. No, I was just bothering other people so I got in a little bit. Hiroshima. I want you to train me at camp to be a man like you. Izuku. Someday Kirishima, someday. Uraraka. Izuku-kun, don't do that explosion again that you did with All Might. Izuku. That explosion definitely hurt me a lot, but honestly, if it had killed me, I would have done something else. Shoji. What do you mean? Izuku. It's not obvious, I would have locked myself in with him using my black matter, and with that we would have died without a doubt. You can't imagine how painful it is to explode without something that keeps you locked in against a person. Tokoyami. And what is your name? Izuku. It's called Fire Word, and it is the most dangerous technique I have. Sato. Because of how powerful it is. Mina. No, because of the huge explosion and the fire. Izuku. No, because both me and my enemy, whoever I use it on, will end up seriously injured, even if luckily I don't use it at its full potential. Ajiro. Now I can't imagine what it would be like at full power. Bakugo. And I was the Muslim. Izuku. Because I'm not exploding every 2 seconds. By saying that, Bakugo ended up getting angry in front of everyone's gaze. Sai. And his temperament. Bakugo. You too. Everyone laughed so they could do their shopping, but once they finished, everyone went their own way, although Mina ended up leaving with Momo. Mina. And you fix things with Izuku? Momo. Something like that. Mina. What do you mean, something like that? Momo. It's just that when I told him everything he got a little nervous and it was obvious that he was thinking about the answer as if his life depended on it, so I let him stay thinking about the answer. Mina was not very happy with the green-haired boy's response to the raven-haired girl. She was about to go look for him and lock him in a room with Momo, apart from leaving them tied up, although she noticed that he had a collar, something he didn't have before. Mina. And that necklace. Momo. He gave it to me today. She showed the inside of the necklace, those photos making Mina happy for her friend, but that wasn't enough. Mina. That's all, I'm going to lock him in a room with you. Momo. Wait, Mina, it's just that when he thought about the answer, it was clear that it was really important to him and I don't want to pressure him. Mina. And why was it so important? Momo. It seemed like a part of him wanted to go with me, as if he wanted to leave something behind from his past to start a new life with me, but the other part. Mina. What did the other party have? Momo. He didn't want to come with me, as if he was trying to protect me from him. Mina. It just makes things more complicated. I can't believe this kid has so many problems. Momo. He will have his reasons, since I met him he always had good reasons for being that way. Elsewhere, Izuku was entering the bar watching the League of Villains, but he ignored them to sit down. Tamura. My informants told me that they are going to a camp. Izuku. Informants. Tamura. It's just that I didn't trust you much, so I sent 2 more informants, their names are Mineta and Kaminari. Izuku ended up pretending to be surprised, something that worked with all the villains, although Kurogiri knew that surprise was a lie. Izuku. So 2 more informants without me knowing. Tamura. Yes. Izuku. And why are you telling me now? Tamura. That's why I trust you. Izuku. Okay, I'll keep the information. Toga. How about we have a fun time? I grab Toga by the head and repeatedly slam her against the counter until she falls to the floor. Izuku. At least he'll sleep for 72 hours. Muscular. Tell me, Izuku, who are those guys you were with? Izuku. They're my kind. When he finished drinking, he just stood up to start walking to the exit. Izuku. Now leave me alone, I want to get some sleep. The boy, when he got to his room, sat on the bed and, taking advantage of the fact that he had a tool that worked so that no one would hear everything he said inside his room, he put it on the door to take his 2 swords, being the white katana from the UA gave him and the black one that the League of Villains gave him, but he noticed how Kurogiri was present. Kurogiri. Hello, Izuku. Izuku. Say what you want. The villain walked over to sit next to him. Kurogiri. I can't tell you much more to see. Izuku. Then ask that question, I know you want to ask it. Kurogiri. What's going on in your head? I know you're having a mental fight. Izuku. It's just that these 2 swords represent me well. The villain looked at him curiously. Izuku. This one that is white lets me see how I am loved by everyone as a true hero when I dreamed as a child, while the other shows me my villain side, the side where I never have confidence, where I always have to fight with everyone in that. Kurogiri. So your mental fight is between your good side or your bad side, which one will win? Izuku. Yes, in one I'm alone and in the other. Kurogiri. You're with the girl of your dreams. Izuku. Yes, since I accepted All for One, I made it clear that my villain path is to be alone forever. Kurogiri. And what do you want me to do? Izuku. I need your help, Kurogiri, I don't know what I can do, I'm lost in all the darkness, I can't find the right path, the path I should take, I don't see it, I can't find it, and you are like a father figure that I can trust in this League of Villains. Kurogiri put a hand on his shoulder so he could see it, making the villain notice how he was crying, something he had never seen before, something he hadn't seen since the boy lost his emotions, and it was when he was a child and lost his mother. Kurogiri. You see, Izuku, I can't choose for you, I'm just a villain who rescued you from death, and you see him as a father figure, I can't do anything about it, I can't choose for you, besides a father must guide his son down a path, and I can't do that, but I can tell you that whatever path you choose, no matter what things are or whatever, I will always be proud of you because you are a good boy to me. Izuku. Thank you very much, Kurogiri, you are always very helpful. Kurogiri. You're welcome. The villain got up to leave the place, walking until he completely disappeared from the place before the eyes of Izuku, who had a smile at what he thought, until he took some things, being the necklace that he ended up opening, and the photo of his mother, to see his moments with Momo and his mother, remembering every moment he had of happiness with his mother. Izuku. You don't know how much I miss you right now, Mom. The boy let out tears even though he swore he felt his mother's hand on his shoulder, so he just decided to sleep once and for all. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.